Um, we're rocking and rolling as we speak. Titus, good to see you here. We've got a few people joining us. Going to open that camera up. How you doing, everybody? Raise my get my thing happening up there. All right, so welcome to our live training. This is part of a series that we call Clients Unleashed. Now, a lot of people have been asking questions about Clients Unleashed. We've already started this program. We're going to be running this over the next 6 to 8 weeks as a group. And we've already got people getting results and appointments and opportunities who've only just jumped in the last few days, so which is pretty amazing. So welcome. Grant Marsden, good to see you here. Mark, Titus joining me here live. John, good to see you here. John, nice to have you here. Lots of Johns. Rajesh, as always, good to see you here. Who else we got here? We've got a few people jumping on, which is pretty cool. This is a interactive because if you're in the Facebook group at Consulting Unleashed, there is a link. You can join in the Zoom live. I can actually answer your questions, talk to you and share with you as we go along. I know that I'm just making sure that we are live in our audience. We are live, which is good to see. Welcome to, for some people, New Year's, and for some people, it is New Year's Day. So for me, it is 2021. Let me tell you, the future is looking good if you are in 2020. Still back in 2020, but what a year it has been, an extraordinary year on so many different levels, so many lives impacted, so many businesses impacted, and so many new opportunities created in, I guess, what has been very extraordinary times, and there are still some extraordinary times to come. However, I believe that everybody is chomping at the bit to make 2021 a fresh start, or perhaps even a new venture or a new opportunity for people in terms of what they're trying to do at a business level. So what I wanted to do today is talk about some things that often come up, the value proposition, our pricing strategy for what we deliver to the market, and also what the market is prepared to pay. How much is the market prepared to pay? And also to give you some structure around what you should be looking at in terms of creating and generating revenue for yourself. Randy Dickinson, good to see you here. Johnny, good to have you here. Joy, thank you for joining. Jamil, nice to have you on board here. So I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about pricing strategy. I'm going to talk about the value proposition. I also want to talk about this concept, and I've been speaking about it in a lot of the trainings that I do with our consulting champions and with the Clients Unleashed people. And that is this concept of when you're actually speaking to somebody, that they're kind of ready to hire you, rather than the idea of them exploring the concept or the idea of hiring you. They know what they're there to talk to you about. They know they've got to make an investment. They are in a place where they want to hire you. That's the best place to be in, right? Where the idea is to minimize the conversations with people who are wasting our time, who aren't ready and don't have the budget. So I want to talk to those concepts and those ideas today. So let's start with pricing strategy. Now, in our world, I often make this joke. I say to people, look, the last thing you want to do, or what you want to do, is don't hang around with internet marketers, right? A lot of us learn from internet marketers. A lot of us are in marketing groups. A lot of us are listening to the gurus out there who are people who are selling products, programs, all that sort of stuff. And they're marketers, right? That's all they do. They don't run agencies. They've never run a real business in their life. They're basically running an information business or a product-based type business, which is all delivered online. And so their price points or their price methodology tends to actually influence a lot of people's pricing when they come into the world of providing or delivering services, right? So that's one aspect. I always make the joke, don't listen to internet marketers. It's okay. Some of them are really nice people and they're really cool to be friends with, but they don't understand how businesses or real businesses actually work. And so what I say is, don't listen to them. Just look at the marketing, but don't look at the value proposition, because the value proposition is always low. Internet marketers have pricing, they're low ticket prices, right? $97. $9.97. You see the numbers all the time, and that number works for them, right? That number works in terms of the price point in their hitting in their programs, but that number doesn't correlate to the value that you should be bringing to the marketplace. So what I want to speak to, and the other thing that will also influence pricing is your own confidence in what you deliver, right? A lot of people, when they get started out, they tend to start out with low pricing, which is fine. That's great to learn with, but you've got to get to a place or find a space eventually where you're actually going to be making a profit. Because one of the things is you want to look at your profitable hourly rate or profit per hour. Now I say net profit per hour, not cost, not revenue per hour. Because at revenue per hour, you've still got costs, right? You've got taxes to pay, you've got software to pay for, you've got incidentals that you incur, incidental costs you incur to run your business, right? And oftentimes, and I'll give you the example of the whole profit per hour business. I've talked to guys who are selling websites like $2,000, right? So there's $2,000 websites, right? Now, I would ask them, how much time would you spend on delivering a $2,000 website? And so they would say between 40 hours, right? 40 hours to 60 hours. And it would take up to 3 months to deliver a $2,000 website. 40 to 60 hours over 3 months to deliver a $2,000 website. Now that website, think about what that website means to the business that has a website. It is the cornerstone of their position online, right? Of their marketing. That is their representation of who they are as a business in the world in marketing. That's number one, right? And so if we look at the hourly, I sat down with one of these people who charges $2,000 to build websites for people. And I sat down and we worked out the average hours. I was spending about 80 hours delivering a website for $2,000 by the time they do back and forth and getting images and waiting for copy and all that sort of stuff. So no control over the process. They're just, the whole, even using WordPress, right? They're still investing 40, 60 to 80 hours in delivering a $2,000 website, right? So their effective hourly rate was $7.50. They were earning $7.50, that's USD, $7.50 per hour for the $2,000 website. That's what they're earning. They could go to In-N-Out Burger and get $15 an hour and not have any responsibility or risk, right? They can go get a job. Minimum wage would pay them more with no responsibility than $7.50 an hour trying to deliver a platform that is the cornerstone of people's marketing on the internet, right? So this is something that when we're starting out, we actually don't take this into consideration. The amount of hours that we will spend, what our costs are for those hours, and more importantly, this concept of profit, this margin, right? So one of the things I highly recommend people do when you're first kind of starting out or you're in the early days of starting out is you're going to have to start thinking about the records that you keep from a financial perspective. And you want to talk to an accountant. One of the things you want to do is when you're setting things up or if you're establishing things, talk to your accountant. And with your accountant, you're going to pay for 1 hour of their advice. And this is what you're going to ask them to do for that 1 hour. In that 1 hour, you're going to tell them, you're going to ask them to take me through the key components of a profit and loss statement. Take me through the important numbers in a profit and loss statement. Going through that exercise just with your accountant, right, to understand your expenses, to understand the gross profit, to understand margin, right, to understand the investments that you're making, right, the costs of running, the tax liabilities, to just understand the basics of a profit and loss statement. That will change your thinking about how much you charge, because very quickly you start to realize that you have to pay yourself. And one mistake that a lot of businesses do, and I see this all the time, it normally happens in the first few years of business. If you're able to last a couple of years in this game, right, you're going to have this experience if you fall into this category. The experience is that you treat your business account like a personal bank account. So you pay your bills and you take money when you need it and you buy things and you do all that sort of stuff. And then at the end of the year, you have a conversation with your accountant and the accountant says, hey, you've got a $30,000 tax bill you got to pay, right? Because you've been using your business account like a personal bank account. And so all of a sudden, but you don't have 30 grand sitting there to pay the tax bill, right? You've earned the money to pay the taxes, but you don't have that money sitting there. So what you do is what most people do is they scramble, go and get a few clients to go and pay that tax bill, right? And then they might not learn that lesson, right, at that time, and they just keep doing what they're doing. Oh, this year will be a little bit different. And so they get 2 years of tax liabilities. Now, I don't know, depending on what part of the world you're in, but most IRSs or tax office organizations aren't very kind to small business owners that don't pay their taxes, right? They make it very difficult for you. So one strategy from a value proposition is do not use your business bank account as your personal bank account. Have a separate account that you pay a salary into, a portion of money that you take out that you pay yourself as a salary, right? And your charge out rate. So one of the things I want you to think about as an expert in what you do, or as somebody who delivers that service, your minimum, your cost charge out rate, cost $100 an hour. Your retail charge out rate should be $300 an hour. So if you have to invest 5 hours of your time in a client's working with a client, talking to a client, dealing with a client, and it's you, the owner, the founder, the head honcho of your business, right? You're going to charge $300 an hour at retail, right? 5 hours, $1,500. On average, if you're running a service-based business, you're personally probably going to invest about 5 hours a month minimum, maybe 10 minimum per month on your client's business, right? Per client, right? So, so think about that. Think about the amount of time that you invest in your time and energy. The least you want to be paid is $100 an hour. And you want to pay yourself first. You want to actually make sure that you pay yourself a salary, right? You've got to take out money, you've got a life, but that's got to be separated from the revenue that you put into your bank account, your business bank account. Don't treat your business bank account like a personal bank account, because it will create a horrendous liability for you. I've seen this one thing destroy people's businesses, and I've seen this one thing create very, very serious issues from a finance point of view for people in their own lives, right? I've seen people bankrupted because they treated their business bank account like a personal bank account. So don't do that. Always pay yourself a salary, separate your income, separate your business account from your personal account, and manage your life in your personal account and manage your business life in your business account, right? That's the separation. From a value proposition, that is one thing that will help you understand or focus on the important things you need to do to make sure you're honoring yourself in business, right? Valuing yourself, pay yourself first, right? There's a guy called Michael Michalowicz who wrote a great book called Profit First. I would highly recommend that you buy that book. It's called Profit First, right? It has a 4-step strategy, really easy to follow. And if you follow the strategy, you're going to make lots of money, right? You'll make lots of profit, right? Because the profit is what you get to keep. Yeah. Well, the net profit is what you get to keep. The gross profit you get to spend. Right. So, so Profit First. And the other book that I would highly recommend, I can't remember the author, but it's a fantastic book. It's called Simple Numbers. Simple Numbers. It's probably one of the best books for every business owner to understand the finances of their business ever written on the planet. It's called Simple Numbers. Right. So those are 2 books I would highly recommend from a personal financial point of view. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice, but understand that you're going to have to know your finances. It is probably one of the most challenging things that a lot of entrepreneurs face, is dealing with that part of their business, right? So it's super, super important that you get it right. Otherwise, it's going to cost you. It's going to hurt, right? And it puts more pressure. And it puts pressure on you that is unnecessary. You don't need to set yourself up for the fall. So as soon as we start to understand profit and loss, as soon as we start to understand what we're charging per hour, this is going to change the perspective of our pricing models that we put out into the market. So let me talk about some of the pricing models that on average that people provide, and what services they provide for those pricing models. I've seen a lot of people in the low end of the market are charging between $500 and $1,000 a month to manage a Facebook or an ad account, right? A Google ad account, between $500 to $1,000. I've seen people who do sales automation and build funnels. On average, they're charging between $1,500 for that funnel up to about $3,000 on average for a funnel, right? Is what they're charging, right? So one of the things that people do is when you kind of, it's building confidence, right? And what happens is at low price points, you have to work with volume. And if you've got to work with volume, you're going to cap yourself out at about 5 to 8 clients. If it's just you, you're going to cap out at 5 to 8 clients, right? So that means that if you're charging $1,000 a month, you're going to be earning between $5,000 and $8,000 a month. You're not even going to make it to 10 grand a month, right? Because you're not able to handle more clients. So now you've got to look at your price points in relation to what you want, right? As part of your revenue. When you're building your business, when you're structuring your business, most people do not plan their businesses out. They don't think about their business. They just go, great, I just got to go get some clients, which is really important. But you do need to spend some time thinking about what you want this business to be, right? And a big part of that is the revenue that you want to make from this business. And so rather than, it's not about setting big goals or setting outlandish goals. It's like, this is how I want my business to be, right? This is what I'd like to see in the next month. This is what I'd like to see in the next quarter. This is like what I'd see halftime in the year. This is what I'd like to see by the end of the year. This is where I'm heading towards, right? And so you're going to pick a number. And sometimes there's a mindset around this number. The first number that everybody chooses is 10 grand a month. Right? If I can make 10 grand a month, that's great. Well, if you want to keep 10 grand a month, you've got to make between 15 and 20 grand a month. So you've got to make between $180,000 and $240,000 a year, depending on what part of the world you live in. Like if you live in California, you're going to make 240 grand a year to make 10 grand a month that you get to keep net, because 50% of what you earn goes away, right? It's paid out as an expense, right? So depending on where you live, that's going to determine what the net value or the net income that you're generating per month in your business. So if you want to earn 10 grand a month, then you might have to aim for 15 grand a month to 20 grand a month. 15 to 20 grand is the range, right? Now think about that. If we're generating 15 to 20 grand a month and we want recurring revenue, right, from our clients, because a lot of people charge the recurring revenue model, 15,000 at $1,000 a month is 15 clients. That's a fairly big roster that you're going to be managing there. You're going to need help to be able to manage 15 clients. You won't be able to do it on your own. So you have to hire somebody. So there's a cost factor, right? That person, you might hire somebody part-time. You might hire somebody in Southeast Asia or in a foreign country that will do the work cheaper than they will in your own country, in the Western world, right? So you may outsource this, but you're still going to incur a cost, right, in managing people. So 15 clients is a lot of clients to manage at $1,000 a month, right? At $3,000 a month, that's only 5 clients. At $3,000 a month, that's only 5 clients, not 15 clients, right? So think about that first milestone. If you want to make 10 grand a month net for yourself, you're going to have to generate between 5 and 15 clients, depending on where your price point is. 5 and 15 clients get you that milestone of 10 net. 10 net you get to keep, not pay taxes on. You physically have $10,000, $2,500 per week net banked in your pocket that you can spend on whatever you do. That's $120,000 a year. That's a milestone, right? $120,000 a year is it's an executive salary, right? It's a medium executive salary. It's kind of the top of the bottom and the bottom of the middle, right? Top of the bottom of the middle, right, is where it is. It's the cream of the crap. That's what I call the top of the bottom of the middle. It's the cream of the crap, right? So we're at the cream of the crap. We've got, by the way, I know a lot of people who earn $120,000 a year net and they're broke, right? I know a lot of people that earn that kind of money that are that's why I call it the cream of the crap, right? It's the illusion of the lifestyle, right? But that's the first milestone. And that milestone generally is a mindset thing. Right? Generally, that milestone to hit that revenue structure is all in your head. It's all about your confidence, getting to know what you can deliver, helping your clients get results, know that you start playing the numbers, know that you've actually got to engage the market. So that's that mindset of 10 grand a month in the pocket. You've got to be making between 15 and 20 grand to be able to do that per month. That's a roster of between 5 and 15 clients. That's essentially your business. Now, I just want to lean in here a little bit. That's if those clients keep paying you for a year, right? You got to hang on to them. You can't lose them. So if you're wanting to hit this milestone, you're actually probably going to have to bring on 20 clients, right? Because all clients leave. All clients leave eventually. They're never going to stay with you forever, right? They eventually leave. So if you're playing the recurring model, your buffer to hit that outcome is going to be much higher than what you're actually aiming for, right? And because it's going to be this thing called churn rate. And the other thing is if you're having or setting the expectation for yourself that a client is going to stay for 12 months, well, you need to make sure that your client understands that that's the expectation for them. They're going to be with you for the next minimum 12 months. In fact, the expectation you want to set is they're going to be with you for the next 3 to 5 years. That's what you want to build into that relationship with your clients. Whether it's a project by project based client or a client that's paying your recurring revenue. So I'm going to talk about pricing models and business models from revenue point of view, just to give you perspective, right? So to make 10 grand a month, we actually might need to get 20 clients to be able to sustain over the course of a year that income, that revenue for the business, right? So the recurring revenue model has its challenges because it's a receivable model. You're being paid monthly, which means you're going to be doing things like chasing payments. You're going to be doing things like credit cards expire. You're going to be doing all those sorts of financial administrative things to make sure that you're still being paid as part of this process. So that's another consideration that a lot of people don't take into account. They love the recurring model. The recurring model is awesome. I actually don't like the recurring model. I would prefer that clients pay all the money up front, right? Or pay the money in the shortest period possible and just work with them and then re-invoice again for the process so that I'm not beholden to a receivable. Because, and this is just from a business pragmatic point of view that I'm sharing this with you. Back in February this year, most agencies that had recurring revenue clients lost 70% of their revenue in March because their clients stopped paying. They panicked and they went, we'll stop advertising, we'll stop doing SEO, we'll stop doing everything, we'll stop. And so most agencies lost up to 70%. In fact, I know agencies lost 90% of their revenue in 1 month, 90%, because they're on a recurring model. So one of the things you want to take into consideration is what you sell. There are other things that you can sell as well that are product categories or things that you can actually get paid for where they're not recurring offers, right? I'll talk a little bit about some of those pricing options or some of those products in a moment. So take into consideration the mindset model. It's all in your head, right? We are more afraid of the price than the customer is, right? We have more problems with pricing than the client does. Right, but this is the thing, as soon as you own the price, as soon as you buy your product at the price point that you own it, then you'll sell lots of it, right? But one of the things that shows a lack of confidence is a lack of understanding of the value you deliver. And clients will pick up on that. They'll say things like, why is it so cheap? Right? I don't know if anybody's experienced that, but you've had a client, actually you're sitting there in the presentation, you're delivering the thing, you get to the apprehension like, okay, this is what the investment is. And they go, yep, that's great. That's cheaper than what I thought it was going to be, right? They just say yes, immediately. They don't even think about it. They're, oh, this is a no-brainer, yep, done, right? If you've ever had that moment, you need to increase your prices because your price is way too cheap. They realize that the value that you're offering or delivering in that conversation was so great, right? That they went, hey, this is great, good deal. Yeah, oh, that's cheap. Yep, I'll take it. They agree very quickly. Anybody that agrees super quick, you know you need to increase your prices, right? So one of the things that I've learned is this concept of price testing, right? So here's the strategy, right? If you all want to generate more revenue for your business, and all those people who are on Facebook watching me live, on YouTube watching me live right now, and the people who are joining me here in Zoom, right? This is my strategy to incrementally increase the net profitability within my business. And I do this in every business that I run. And I do this and I've been doing it for years, and it works brilliantly, and it's generated hundreds of millions of dollars over the 33 years that I've been working in this world with the clients that I help along the way. So here's the thing. What you want to do is at the point of your making an offer, let's say you're putting a proposal together, or let's say you're putting a pitch deck together and presenting. So you get to the point where you're going to put the page of the list of all the things they get and how much you're going to charge them, right? How much you're going to charge them. So what you want to do is you want to put your price, write it down, like type it in, write it down, whatever you got to do, put that price down so you see it on the page or you see it on the slide. Put it down, right? And then here's what you do. rub it out, and then change up the price by 20%. So you need to listen to this strategy very carefully, because there's a nuance here. You must put the price down, right? Whatever price, you must actually type it in. You must actually record the price. So you see it. You see yourself typing in 15 or $1,000 a month, right? So then what you're going to do is you're going to delete that price and immediately add 20% to that price. And so if you're charging $1,000 a month, now you're charging $1,200 a month immediately. So whatever price you put down, right, the rule is you have to wipe it out and add 20%. And that's the price you're going to deliver. Now, if you want a price test, you do that on the next person. So let's say we're charging now $1,200 an hour, $1,200 for our service per month, right? The next person that you do a presentation to, you type in $1,200 and you delete it, right? And then you put $1,450 down, right? You put $1,450 down as a new price and you deliver that as the new offer, right? And so the next time you do the next presentation, you offer a price, you put down $1,450 and you delete it, and then you put down $1,800, right? And that becomes your new price. And so what's going to happen, there's going to be a point, right, where you're going to get some sensitivity, right? The person's going to go, oh, that was a bit above my budget, right? That means you would, depending on, and by the way, you'll only know that ceiling when you start hearing that conversation about 5 or 10 times, right? That's when you know you've hit the ceiling, right? You don't hit the ceiling when somebody says no to the first time to that price. You know you've hit a ceiling after you've had about 10 presentations where you've offered that price, where you start getting pushback on the pricing, right? So let's say, and generally, and I'll just give you the state of play for most businesses in the market. Most small businesses will handle a budget of about $4,000 a month, including advertising. Facebook ads, Google ads is about roughly where they're going to sit. Most small businesses are going to go, the ceiling is going to be about $3,000 a month, $1,000 a month to ad spend, about $4,000, between $3,000 and $4,000 seems to be their ceiling. That's small businesses. That's if you're just doing AdWords management, right, for a small business. Businesses from $1 million down, right, $1 million down. That their price sensitivity is going to be around at $3,000 to $4,000. That's the price sensitivity, right? So when you hit that ceiling, what you do is you put the price up again, 20%, right? So let's say you're at $4,000 a month that you're charging, you made it to $4,000. Now you're going to charge $5,000. But what you're going to do is you're going to add a component of value, right? What you're going to do, instead of just keeping things as they are, you're going to build in one, you're going to add one more piece of value that lifts the level of the value of the pricing, right? So this is called price testing. So for example, we grew a business to 40 million revenue in 5 years from scratch, 5 years, 40 million revenue from scratch in the agency market, in a niche. We're the most expensive provider in that niche, right? So here's the thing. We were increasing our prices every 3 months. Every 90 days, we would increase our prices. So the new people that we would present to, the price would be higher than the previous clients, right? Every 90 days. And it took us 2.5 years to hit the ceiling. It took us 2.5 years to hit the ceiling where we had to add more value and then increase the price again, right? So and we were incrementally, we were trying a 5%, 7%, 10%, 15%. We were incrementally testing, right? In that process. So it took us 2.5 years to hit the sweet spot. And we were increasing our pricing every 90 days as part of a strategy, right? So think about your pricing. Think about what you do. Think about how many hours you're going to invest in delivering this outcome to the client. And then also think of how much you save the client and how much you make the client. So think about the result to the client. So for example, one of my consulting champions, Brian, he works in the chiropractic space. And we were at an event. I was actually presenting an event. We did an event together where I was showing him how to run a live presentation to generate clients, right? So we're sitting there at the event, and whilst we're at the event, Brian gets a text message from one of his clients, and the client says, "Hey, we just 10x'd our investment on our marketing with you." Like it was a testimonial. Like I was saying, "Hey, we're super happy. We more than 10 times what we spent with you, we got back in 30 days, 10x, right? That's an amazing result, right? That's an amazing result for a thing. And I said, hey, we need to take a snapshot of that image and show all these people and look at the time was today, right? And show all these people what happens when they invest in you, right? That the strategies, if they follow through, if they do what they say they're going to do, and you put your system and methodology into place, this is what can happen, right? As soon as people saw that in real time, right, they went, holy cow, I've never had that with any marketing I've ever done. I've never had that experience, right? To 10x. Now, Brian was charging the client $4,000 a month. So, $40,000 for $4,000 investment, right? Cheap, right? Cheap marketing, right? For a $40,000 investment. The question I asked the question room, that's a pretty good result. How many people here would put $4,000 down to get 40 grand back? Anybody in that game? Every single person put their hand up in the room. I want to play that game, right? Well, my question is, do you want to play that game now, or do you want to play that game in 2 or 3 months' time? What do you want to do? Guess what? Not everybody put their hand up. About a third of the room went, yeah, I want to do this today, right? Let's get going, right? Now here's the thing. The price point that Brian was going to be offering at this event, right? They hadn't seen that yet. The price point he was going to be offering was $1,800 as an incentive to get them started, right? But in their head, they were already seeing it's $4,000 a month. That didn't include ad spend, by the way. It's $4,000 a month. So guess what Brian had to do? Wipe that price out in the middle of the break so nobody saw that price, right? And put $4,000 down there. Because now everybody had an expectation that the minimum I'm going to be paying is $4,000, right? Because he was able to show the value. What Brian should have been charging for a 40 grand for $4,000 type investment, he should have been charging about $7,500 for that. A 6 to 1, 5 to 6 to 1 is a huge return on investment in marketing, right? A 5 to 6 to 1 is a huge return on investment in marketing. He should have been charging that client $7,500 a month. That client still would have been absolutely delighted with that result. Because think about it, 40 grand, right? 40 grand is $480,000 in a year if that keeps going. 40 grand is $480,000. You're going to charge somebody $1,500 or $1,800 a month, right? $20,000 a year for them to make $480,000. Can you see how ridiculous that is? Right? So we need to understand the value from the client's perspective. If we understand our clients and what they generate as revenue from what you deliver, and a lot of people go into markets because they're looking for clients that have high ticket value, right? I'm looking at Johnny O'Dell, who's been joining me every day as one of our Clients Unleashed members, who's been generating clients through the pandemic by applying a lot of tactical stuff that we've been talking about, right? But looking at Johnny, he's in the HVAC market. The average HVAC investment at the low end is probably around the 10 grand mark. At the high end, it'll be around the 15 to 16 at a residential level. At a commercial level, it'll be significantly higher. So that market, that niche, that 10, 16 grand is great, right? It's a high ticket. So for every client you get 10 clients, it's $160,000. That's pretty cool. Now you're getting 160 grand. Let's say your GP is 30%, right? So you're roughly looking at what, $40,000 in GP. About 40 grand in GP, right? Now, if Johnny was charging $3,000 a month for $40,000, he's not charging enough, right? He's not charging enough for that service. Yeah. So that's the gross profit. It's 160,000 revenue, but the actual gross profit at 10 to 1 in GP is way too, the charge out rate for that is way too low. What Johnny should be charging for that, right, is about 10 grand. Right? 10 grand of that 40,000 GP should be going to Johnny, right? Because it's a 4 to 1, 3 to 1 on gross profit. Any client, any business in the market that sees a 4 to 1, 3 to 1 on profit is no brainer. Let's do this, right? It's a no brainer deal for them. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is just to give you a better understanding of what businesses think and what you should be thinking in your business, right? From pricing point of views. Yeah. So as the price goes, right? One of the things that I'd like you to take away if you're watching this live is test your pricing. Whatever price you put down on the sheet, wipe it out, then increase that price, then offer that price. If you're brave, increase your price by 50%. If you're brave, increase your price by 100%. If you're really brave, increase your price by 300%, right? And even then, if you're in the business of acquiring customers, and especially if customers are investing between $2,000 or more for that product category, you'll be, a 300% increase in your price. You might be in the right price category for that return on that investment with clients, right? So pricing is a mindset game, right? Because here's the thing. We've been through this, 2020, for me, that was yesterday, right? We've seen, right, luxury brands increase their price by 25% in the middle of a pandemic and increase their sales by more than 70% in the middle, right throughout a pandemic. Their price they've increased. So one of these companies, Chanel, right, fashion brand. Chanel, back in March 2020, right, back in March 2020, did a blanket increase on their pricing of all their product categories by 25%. This was when the pandemic hit, right? They increased their prices by 25%, right? Now, by August, right, so now we're 5 months into the pandemic, they were 70% up on revenue on the previous year, 2019, which was a great year for Chanel. 2019 was a great year. 2020 was an even freaking bigger year for Chanel. They increased their prices and they massively increased their profitability. Because here's what happens when you increase price. That money that you increase the price on is net profit. There is no extra cost that you incur to either deliver or to produce on that price increase. That price increase, after you pay your taxes on it, goes straight into your back pocket. There is no monies that leave you. That is a pure net profit play for your business, because before the price increase, you were delivering at your cost, right? You were making a margin, you were delivering at cost, but after the price increase, you've just added a significant profit to your business. A 20% net on the books is huge for your business, right? Is huge. So understand that pricing, when you're looking at pricing models, look at the value proposition, look at what you're delivering to clients, and also think about who you're talking to as well. At the small business level, you're going to come in with modest pricing at a small business level. At a medium business level, you're going to come with professional pricing relevant to the medium business market. At the high level, at the big level, where we're talking 100 million or 200 million plus companies, they're happy to pay. Those guys are spending up to $5 to $10 million on marketing, right? Those guys are spending up to $5 to $10 million. So here's you coming along at $1,500 a month to manage a Facebook ad account with a company that spends $5 to $10 million. They're going to look at you very strangely. They're not going to take you seriously, right? They're expecting you to come in and charge them $300,000 to $400,000. That's what they're expecting you to charge them. They're expecting that, and they'll sign off on that. But if you come in at $1,500 a month to a company that's sizable, they're going to laugh you out the door. They're not even going to give you the time, right? So understand your pricing models also have to meet the value of the market, the value perception of the market, right? If like Nike would not exist if people didn't have the perception of the design quality, the value, the fact that if you bought a pair of Air Jordans, you jumped 5 centimeters higher. You jumped 2.5 inches higher if you bought Air Jordans. If you didn't have Air Jordans, you didn't jump 2 inches higher, right? But because of the reason why you can jump 2.5 inches higher with Air Jordans is the freaking base of the shoe is 1.5 inches high. Right? They got you to jump higher because they put you higher up, right? But you paid the money, you paid the premium. Kanye West, not somebody that I'm a fan of, but Kanye West released a shoe line. It's a freaking $1 billion brand. It's only been out for 6 months. There were people in the middle of the pandemic here in Australia that released the shoe last month. The average price of a shoe is $300, right? $300. And they look ugly. They look ugly as sin. But they're a collector's item before they've even started because it's Kanye, right? Welcome to the Kardashian world, right? But it's Kanye. People are paying, so Nike shoes, $60 to $200 for a premium shoe. Kanye West, been in the game for less than a year, $300 a pop. and the line is out the door, right? In the middle of a pandemic, people wearing freaking masks to line up, socially distancing a mile, half a mile around the corner to buy a pair of sneakers for $300. How ridiculous is that? They're willing to pay a premium for a brand, right? When they go to the outlet store, the Nike store, and go pick up a pair of Nikes that are just as good, probably made in the same factory, right? For $60, right? Perception of value, right? So think about pricing, think about margin, think about what you get to keep, think about what you're aiming for, right? This is what I want to do. Break it down. How many clients do I need to hit that outcome? What do I get to keep? When you sit down with your accountant, pay your expenses, go, great, this is what you get to keep. Well, we need to work on making sure you get to keep more of it, right? This is where you start to think like a business owner. This is where you start to think, you take your head out of being a freelancer and you start to think, hey, I'm running a business. And when you're running a business, you're going to approach things very differently. And when you're actually understanding pricing and your margins, you're going to focus, you're going to deliver a lot more differently, right? You're going to have a much stronger perception of your business. And when you own that, then you can write your ticket. You can go from that 10, 15 grand a month to 50 to 100. So the second milestone from a value proposition, from a business point of view, is going to the million. So if we can make six figures, once we've learned how to make six figures, the next milestone, by the way, generating $1 million is neither here nor there. It's just a number, right? So but for whatever reason, it just seems to be this milestone number that everybody talks about, right? I see people become a seven-figure coach, become a seven-figure agency, it's a number. Only 3% of people ever make it there. Only 3% ever make it to $1 million in our world, right? Only 3%, right? So what does $1 million business look like? Well, if you're charging $3 grand a month, that's 27 clients that you're working with at $3 grand a month. That's 27 clients. It's a little over 2 clients a month. So in 1 year, I've seen people go from scratch to $1 million in less than 6 months, right? We did it in the middle of the pandemic on a test. We did 1.2 on a test in the middle of the pandemic from scratch in 6 months, which I demonstrated to the people I work with. I showed them exactly what I did, showed them what I sent, showed them everything, right? Showed them how I went and targeted. In fact, yesterday, if you go and listen to the training, I pretty much explained exactly what we did to go 0 to 1.2 in a niche that we knew nothing about, right? So it can be done. It's doable, right? So at $3 grand a month, it's 27 clients. At $5 grand a month, it's 20 clients, right? Little under 2 clients per month. That's those clients that stick. So if you want to run $1 million business in a year, you're going to have to bring on about 40 clients, 35 to 40 clients. That means 27 of them will stick, right? 27 will stick, yeah? So roughly 3 clients a month will get you there, will help you stick. And that'll get you to what we call $84,000 per month in recurring revenue. 84 grand a month, 12 months, that's $1 million run rate, right? 27 clients, right? That's what it takes, right? That is all about sales and marketing. One thing you've got to get really good at is you've got to have the ability to continue to sell and market. Delivery, 20%, sales and marketing, 80%. The second milestone in your business is all about fine-tuning your sales and marketing process, right? It has nothing to do with improving delivery. Delivery is going to happen because you're going to deliver anyway. And delivery you can always buy. If you're bringing in 50, 100 grand a month, you can invest in the best people to deliver outstanding results for your clients. Right? Delivery, you can buy. 80% sales and marketing, 20% delivery, right? 20% delivery. So we hit the $1 million mark, and that is all. That's it, sales and marketing. If you can hit 100, it's easy to hit $1 million, right? It's going to cost you $300,000 a year to run $1 million business. Roughly $30,000 a month in costs is going to cost you to run $1 million business. That's what your costs are, right? So your break even is 30 grand a month, right? On $1 million business, yeah? So that's sales and marketing, 80%. So it's all about getting really good at targeting the right clients, getting really good at engaging, getting really good at understanding the problems, getting really good at delivering the solution, like delivering the outcome that the client is actually looking for, right? So that you can replicate that idea. You're fine-tuning a process, right? But what you've got to fine-tune is your communication, your messaging, and more importantly, your branding. Branding, branding, branding. I'll say that again 3 times. I'll say it 6 times. Branding, 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 right? If you want to be a legitimate business owner, People need to understand who you are and what you do and what you stand for and how you help them in the market so that you become a choice, right? You have to build the audience. You have to build the client. You have to build notoriety in what you do, right? There are many ways in which you can do this, but in 2021, right, it's all about what people are looking for is they're looking for experts in what you do. That's what the market's looking for. Right now, if you have Facebook skills, you are the most highly prized person on the planet. If you know how to do Facebook ads for people, you are freaking gold right now. You can charge whatever you want in the market, right? Your market value is very high. If you're a data analytics person, if you're an SEO analytics like conversion type person, you can charge whatever you want. Those people are earning a mozza right now if you're a freelancer and you're a data analyst, right? Interpreting numbers is like gold, right, to the market, right? If you're an SEO right now, SEO, you should be doubling your prices because people are desperately looking for you because organic traffic has become very, very important in the pandemic era, right? If you're an SEO, if you're a search engine optimization specialist or a conversion rate optimization specialist, I work with them. I have a champion I have a few of them that I've worked with in the CRO industry. Their minimum charge rate to a client on average per month is between 8 and 15 grand a month. I worked with a conversion rate optimization specialist. We charge 50 grand for one change on one page of a website. Because that one change on one page on a website would yield millions of dollars in sales, right? 50 grand. And by the way, he didn't do the change. The way they would deliver the change is a PDF schematic diagram. Change the color of this button, $50,000, thank you very much, right? Crazy, right? That people would pay that kind of money for that kind of advice. But they do. For this person, they did, right? I worked with an SEO specialist that sold an audit for $250,000. 250 grand. And guess what tools they used? Ahrefs, right? SEMrush, same tools that every cheap ass SEO that uses on the planet, right? Exactly the same tools. But they got $250,000 to do an SEO audit, right? On a brand, yeah? So value right now, the desperation of the market looking for, they're looking for you. So you need to create your brand. You need to create an identifiable, this is who we help, this is what we do, this is what we're really good at, and we understand you and we understand the problem, we understand how we fix that problem. Branding, 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 very, very important in 2021. If you want to build this business, they need to know who you are. If nobody knows who you are, if you're not visible, you're not in business. So big question, you need to think about this. I'd like you to write it down. How am I making myself visible to my market? How am I making myself, what am I doing to make myself visible to my market, right? I've got some really cool strategies on how you can do that super, super fast, but I don't have time to go into that. But if you go into Clients Unleashed, I will share what I'm doing there, right? On how you can do that this year, right? In fact, it's the first section one of the first sections we work on is on that clarity and that branding piece. So you can go out to the market with something very significant and clear, right? But that's the thing, branding becomes very important. That's going to also lift your pricing strategy as well, right? Really important, yeah? So pricing, look at the value proposition. Look at what your client generates from your investment. Look at what you want to aim for to try and help your clients to reach as an outcome, right? If you're able to generate 40 opportunities for any client at the small business level, they should be paying you up to 5 grand a month for that service, because 40 opportunities are going to turn into 10 to 12 actual real conversations for them in terms of qualification. And they're going to close between 3 and 5 deals if they're really bad, right? Now, if they're terrible, they'll close no deals, right? If they're terrible, they close no deals. But on average, you want to be generating, at least if you're in the lead gen game, you want to be generating between 40 and 50 opportunities minimum per month for a small business. For a bigger business, they want hundreds. They want 100, 200, and that means they're willing to invest more, right? Right now, I'm working with a particular agency where they charge their clients 75 grand a month for leads. $75,000. $25,000 of that is cost, and $50,000 a month is gross profit. That's a good deal. But the client makes millions, right? The client makes millions, yeah, in the business, right? 75 grand a month, that's not a bad lead gen client. And by the way, that client is never going to leave. Never going to leave, because they're delivering the result. They're getting, it's like predictable cash. They've built the system, the process, and the structure to be able to get that client that outcome. So whatever price you're charging right now, I'll guarantee you too cheap, right? Guarantee you. So play the pricing game, 20%, 20%, 20% until you hit the ceiling, right? That way you're actually going to have more money in your pocket, which means you've got more money to invest in your business. You've got money to invest in your advertising, your marketing, so you can scale and build that brand. You want to raise capital, right? You want to use a portion of your revenue to running ads, right? Your first 5 clients, you should be able to keep the revenue. After that, you want to start spending the revenue, right? You want to take $1,000 to $1,500 of those first 5 clients and throw it into ads, because ads is leverage. It's another channel for generating leads in the marketplace, right? That's not the only place to get leads, but it's one of the fast places to get leads. And that means you need to dial your advertising in. On average right now, if you're wanting to generate clients from a Facebook ad point of view, at the low end, we're talking, $80 per appointment. On average, you're looking between $180 to $250 per appointment. $180 to $250 is about that spot, is what's costing you for an appointment that shows up, right? So 5 appointments going to cost you $1,000 to $1,250. Now, if you're selling something at $1,500 a month, that's $18,000 a year. My question to you is, how many people here would spend $1,500 to get $18,000? Think about it. Everybody would do that, right? In our agency, one of our agencies, we spend $4,753 per client. That is $60,000 in our services. So we know that number. We know that number. That's what it costs. So we're writing $4,753 checks like crazy, right? Because we can scale it. Yeah. We know that every time we write that check, we get 60 back, right? So you think if you're going to do advertising, think about it. Think about what you're going to invest and what that's worth to you, right? Most people don't understand how powerful running ads for yourself is. And if you're going to run ads on Facebook, just run lead ads. Don't run, like a lot of people are teaching, run to a VSL, a video sales letter and all that sort of stuff. Unless you've got lots of good testimonials, unless you've got a lot of experience in the market, your VSL is going to be a pretty ordinary VSL. So you're going to be spending a lot of money to run traffic to something that isn't going to convert, right? Whereas if you're just running a lead ad, right, where the client is interested in your service and leaves a name, a phone number, and their company, right, much cheaper, much cheaper. A good lead ad, you should be paying between, at the low end, $5, at the high end, about 15 to 20 bucks, 15 to 20 bucks for a good lead ad, right? Then it's up to you, right? Then it's up to you to convert that client into a conversation, yeah, if you're doing that. So if you're going to run ads to generate leads, lead ads are the best ads you can run to generate leads for agency, right? So I want to talk about client earnings or revenue per client. The low point, the lowest point, you want to be, if you want to sustain profitability and growth, your clients have to be investing a minimum of $25,000 in your services a year. A minimum of 25 grand, right? Any client below 25 grand, you're going to be skirting margin on profit. Any client below $25,000, then what you're doing is then you really have to dial in your systems and processes, and then you're playing a volume game, right? Anybody charging 18 grand a year to a client, you're going to be playing volume. 1,500 a month for management, you're going to be playing volume, right? Because you're actually got to dial in your systems to be able to maintain profit margins. Because the bigger you grow, the more people you have to hire, there's going to be an increase in costs, right? Unless you make adjustments to your pricing level. So at 25K, that's kind of at the low end of the market. On average, I believe you should be looking at clients investing at least 36,000 to 50 grand in your services. 36 to 50 grand per annum, per year in your services, yeah, is what you should be looking at, 30 to 60 per year. So what does that look like? 3 grand a month is $36,000 a year, right? 5 grand a month is 60 grand a year. So 3 to 5 grand is kind of the sweet spot from a profit point of view, because you want to be keeping at least a grand of that 3 grand as your total GP. What you're aiming for really is 1/3 cost and 70% GP. And then from there, your net should be around that 40-45% mark, right? So almost, this is probably the most profitable industry you're ever going to be in, right? Because of that structure. So 36K is probably a better one to aim for, but the minimum I would go for that I would put in would be 25K a year. 25K a year, 2 grand a month, right? 25K a year, $2 grand a month is what you want to be aiming for, right? So think about that. 10 clients, $250,000, right? 20 clients, $500,000 at that price point. Yeah. So that, and so you say, great, I want to make $500,000, get 20 clients, 2 clients a month. You're making, you know, so 2 clients a month means you probably got to speak to about 10 people a month, right? That's like a little over 3 people a week, right? 2 people a week. That's not a lot. When you think about these numbers that I'm sharing with you, they're teeny tiny numbers, right? You know, to earn 100 grand, a year, you need 3 clients at $3 grand a month. That's $108,000 a year. That's gross, right? That's gross, right? So remember when I said that if you want to make, say 216,000 a year, right, is 6 clients at $3 grand a month. That's 12 grand a month, right? 6 clients at $3 grand a month is $216,000 per annum. 6. That's like 1 client every other month, right? You got to get a customer every 60 days. That's insane. That's insane. What you want to be aiming for in this business as a strategy is 1 client every 10 days. 1 client every 10 days. So think about 3 clients a month. It should be your average target rate. Within 3 months, you got 9 clients, right? Within a year, you got 27 clients. Yeah, 3 clients a month, okay? This is what you want to aim for. 1 client every 10 days. So 3 clients a month, let's say worst case scenario, you've got to be having 15 conversations a month for 3 clients a month. 15 conversations a month, right? That's less than 1 a day in a working day week. That's like 4 a week. 4 people you've got to have a conversation with a week, right? Almost 1 a day, right? You have 1 conversation. That's the minimum. By the way, if you did 1 conversation per day, you probably generate about 5 clients per month. That's the goal, is 1 conversation. To build a system and a process of just having 1 conversation per day of somebody who's interested in what you have to offer, right? That's what you got to do. You got 8 hours. If you're doing a normal work week from 9 to 5, you got 8 hours to have that 1 conversation. Now, if you are unable to have that 1 conversation in 8 hours, you're not working. You're not doing anything. You're wasting time. You're too busy playing with ClickFunnels. You're too busy playing with watching videos. You're too busy looking at me, listening to my shit, right? You're too busy doing everything else but the very thing that you need to do, and that is engage a human being in a conversation, opening that conversation, right? So that's a really critical key. We have people that I work with that are averaging 3 to 4 of these conversations a day. They will average between 5 and 10 clients every month on board. Average investment in their services between 3 and 5 grand every month. Think about the compounding effect. And the one thing that they do is they don't sell their clients on short-term deals. And that's one thing that I will share with you that I think is really important here from a business point of view, from a business perspective. Most people say, hey, try me out for a month. So when somebody tries you out for a month, then they leave at the end of the month. If you tell them that they could leave in 30 days, more often than not, they're going to leave. Regardless of the result, right? Regardless of the result, more often than not, they're going to leave. I'll guarantee you, if you say somebody, try me for 30 days, they'll be gone at the end of 30 days on average, right? So the next thing that people do is get your clients to pay you for 3 months. Get them to hang around for 3 months, right? So if you're doing $3 grand a month, that's 9 grand. That's not 25 grand, that's 9 grand. Now, if you tell your clients to pay you 9 grand over 3 months, you're telling them they can leave at the end of 3 months. So every 3 months, you have to go and get a new customer to replace those customers. Now, for some of you, this is a rhetorical question and one to ponder on. For some of you, and I've had this experience many times in my business in the past, where you're cozying along, you've got a bunch of clients, let's say you've got 5 or 6 clients, and all of a sudden, 2 to 3 clients leave at the same time. 2 to 3 people decide for whatever reason, they want to stop paying, they've had enough, they want to try something else, they just leave. So all of a sudden, your income goes from 10 grand a month to 4 grand a month. You lose 6 grand just like that, right? And that hurts, right? This is what happens, up and down cycles, right? So if we only sell a client on 3 months, then that's as long as they're going to stay, because you're telling them they can leave at 3 months. So here's how you stop that. You don't sell them a 3-month deal. You sell them a program, a business development program over a 12-month period, right? It's not Facebook ads, right? It's a direct response marketing strategy over a 12-year period, designed to create a predictable monthly rate of return. We're developing this as part of your business. Because if you're generating results, why would you leave, right? And the only reason why people leave is through perceived indifference. The only reason why people leave is through perceived indifference. What perceived indifference means is that they think that you don't care about them. You don't communicate with them often enough. You don't help them. You don't respond to them quickly enough, right? The expectations has been set incorrectly. So then they get a misinterpretation of what you're delivering or offering to the market, right? Perceived indifference. So if you sell 3-month contracts, well, guess what? You're going to need new clients every 3 months. And you work really hard to get the clients that you bring on board. So think about that. You're going to be working really hard to try and maintain revenue for a year. So sell a program that's 12 months long, right? If you're selling at 3 months right now and you're uncomfortable in selling a 12-month deal, sell a 6-month deal. You've just doubled your sales, right? Sell a 6-month deal, right? But what you've got to do is the first 100 days with your clients is critical. You've got to build an emotional connection with your clients in the first 100 days. If you can do that in the first 100 days through your communication, your cadence, your understanding, connection, support, all that sort of stuff in the first 100 days, the client will pretty much stay you for a couple of years. And you'll be able to screw up about a dozen times before they leave you, right? So after 100 days, right? So you think about it, the first 100 days, what are you going to do as part of that relationship to make sure they stay all the way through, right? The best way to do that is we sell 12-month deals. I've never sold a 3-month deal at agency level. We've never done 3 months. We do 12-month business development program, right? That's what we do. Now, we went from a 12-month business development program to now a 3-year business development program. So every client, we make a 3-year offer. Imagine signing up an ad client that's going to be with you for 3 years and pay for it all up front in advance for fixed pricing. 15% of our clients pay 3 years up front. That's $180,000 cash up front for fixed pricing, right? That's a lot, but you're dealing with clients that can handle that, right? You deal with clients. So I know I'm talking big numbers here, right? But at the lower level, at the smaller level, where you can make an impact is how long you keep the client on board. That's a real key. So we're coming up to the hour here. I know there's a few people who have been asking some questions. Unfortunately, I can't see the comments in the Facebook group. For some reason, I don't know why my live stream is not allowing me to see those comments. However, I do have people asking questions here. I'm going to answer a couple of these questions here as I go through in the chat. If you've got questions here, please type your question in the chat. I will respond to you. And then what I want to do is I just want to talk a little bit about sales or sales process to give you a perspective of making it easier for yourself as part of this process. So a couple of things. Statement of the year, I don't like the recurring model. Yeah, receivables, right? Get the payment up front. Offer for people to pay up front. Don't offer to pay them month by month. Just say, hey, you've got a choice. We'll finance it for you at this level, or you can save yourself 10% and you can pay this up front. I'll guarantee you, in fact, one of the people who are in Agency Unleashed that I work with, in the middle of the pandemic, they started doing just upfront payments because they needed cash flow. And every client they offered the upfront deal to took the upfront deal. So they're getting like $15,000, $20,000, $40,000 deposits, right? Whereas before they were waiting like $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. So they're getting it all upfront just because they ask, they offer it. Some companies go, yeah, I'll do that. I'll take the 10% deal, the incentivized deal, right? They'll just pay for it up front. Now, if you don't, this is a statement of the year, right? If you don't ask for it, they can't give it, right? So the important part here is, as one of your options, offer for them to pay right up front. And let me tell you, some people will. Some people go, yeah, that makes sense. I'll just take care of that right now. They don't want to get into recurring model. Big companies do not want to pay you month by month by month. They don't want to be invoiced. They want to pay for the whole thing up front. Big companies will write you a check for 100 grand, 200 grand, like that, without even thinking about it, right? I've got many of the people I work with in Consulting Champions that sign up $100,000 deals. In fact, we had one person who signed up a $700,000 deal, and the deposit was 350 grand, half, right? They nearly fell off their chair when a company wrote a check, put the money in their bank account, $350,000 cash in the bank, right? That's pretty crazy. Now, the company never would have paid it if he didn't ask. And let me tell you, he was very scared to ask, but I coached him through it and he got it, right? So understand that you want to charge upfront, yeah? Because you want to receive the money. No receivables, you minimize the receivable impact. If you do recurring and charge too much, then you also run the risk of getting fired quicker, depending on the value the clients see in you. That has some element of truth to it, Titus. That can be a reaction if you're charging a higher rate. But this is the thing: if you think you're charging too much, if you think you are, then you are, right? But if you own the value, then you're not. You'll never charge too much, because I'll guarantee you, nobody charges enough. I know this. I know. I can tell. I can look you all in the eye, the ones that are actually on camera here. I can look you all in the eye and say, hey, right now, think about it. You're not charging enough, right? Charge more, yeah? So if you've got any questions, please ask a question in the chat, those people here on Zoom. If you're over on Consulting Unleashed, jump into the Zoom and then I'll be able to answer your questions directly. What about the video? What about a video production agency? Absolutely, John, video production agency. So for example, one of my champions, they're a full service agency and they work with big brands, and one of their services is video production for social media and for ads. They put their margin on top of that is about 35% on margin. Well, the average bill is 20 grand for video production. That's for a 15-second, 30-second video. $20,000 production cost for a 30-second video for a commercial, right? That's crazy, yeah? And then they put their margin on top of that. So add another 35% to that, and they're charging, what, $29,000 for a 30-second video. And companies are paying that like no-brainer, left, right, and center, right? So John says crazy. That's not crazy, that's cheap. That's cheap. 29 grand production for a 30-second commercial, that's cheap. A QVC script written, produced ad is $150,000 for a 7-minute commercial. 150 grand just for the production. That's not the money they've got to pay for the space, for the airtime. That's just for the production, 150 grand, right? So yeah, video production is huge. By the way, videographers should be flat out right now. They are flat out. The ones that I know, a friend of mine, Ken, who's in the video game, that dude is earning millions at the moment because companies are paying a ton for video content, a ton. Because they need unique content. You need fresh video as king. So what about video production? Video production is huge. Yeah. The price of saying no is higher than saying yes. That could be right, John. Rajesh says, when we are competing with other digital marketers that are selling for less, let's say Go High Level, mobile apps, portal access, how do we differentiate our offering? Well, this is the thing. Forget about your competition. If you're thinking, oh, there's a whole bunch of people doing what I'm doing, and you're thinking about them and what they're delivering, they're not delivering it the way you want to deliver it. You're going to deliver what you deliver. You're going to deliver with your understanding, with your value proposition. You own the price. You own the price. There's a difference between, so let's talk about mobile apps. Domino's Pizza spent $7 million on their mobile app. $7 million to order a freaking $5 pizza. Are you kidding me? $7 million for an app, right? Now, they're $1 billion brand in the market, right? Pizza's a big business. Pizza's a huge business in the pandemic market, right? But they spent $7 million. Now, get this, just in Australia, Domino's Pizza spent $3.5 million on email marketing. $3.5 million on running email marketing campaigns. I know this because I worked on some of those campaigns, right? $3.5 million on email marketing, yeah? And that's why Domino's is brilliant at marketing $7 pizzas, $5 pizzas all day long, right? Because they know that a buck out of every $5 pizza is going to go to marketing, right? Because they're building that brand, they're building that. You know, why does Coca-Cola still spend over $2 billion a year on freaking advertising? You think we know the brand. We've known the brand for over 100 years. In fact, I think we've known the brand for nearly 170 years. We've known the brand. But yet they'll still spend $2 million saying Coke is it, right? You know, why do they do that if they know they own the market? Well, they don't own the market, but they're so big that they've bought the market, right? That's the thing. They've bought the market. They understand the true value of the market. Yeah. A person that I hired, there's a guy called Dan Kennedy. I don't know if everybody knows Dan Kennedy. I highly recommend that you look Dan Kennedy up and buy all of his books, right? But I had the good fortune of hiring Dan to do a marketing strategy with me, and it was $140,000 to hire him to write a sales letter, right? 140 grand is what I invested to write a sales letter from Dan, and it flopped. It flopped, right? But Dan fixed it as he is a professional, because he knows how it works. He's one of the best marketers on the planet. He's probably taught more gurus how to communicate online than anybody in the history of marketing. He's an exceptional marketer, right? But you have those moments where you ask questions, the one thing. I don't know if anybody, this is showing my age. There's a movie called City Slickers. And City Slickers is about a bunch of guys who decide to go on a bit of a horse ranch road trip and go treasure hunting and rustling cattle. It's kind of an adventure experience. And so the four guys is Billy Crystal and a couple other guys, and then Jack Palance is a jackaroo. We call him a cowboy who's a mustering specialist who takes cattle from one part of the country to the other. And they're on this tourism experience, right? And so they go through a whole bunch of funny stuff, and it's a really funny movie. But there's this one scene where Billy Crystal, they're about to help a cow to birth. And it's pouring down rain, and it's a horrible evening. And Billy Crystal's got his arm halfway up the cow to pull this little calf out. And he in all of this, he asks this question, right? What is the one thing? Like, he looks at Curly, this ragged, haggard, age-old person who seems to know his life, love his life, knows his place and purpose in life. And he asks this question: what is that one? What is the one thing? Right? The one thing question. I like to ask the one thing question. I've had moments where I've been fortunate enough to ask people who I admire, who've mentored me through their knowledge and through their programs, and even personally coached me. And I asked this question. I got my Billy Crystal moment with Dan Kennedy. And so we're sitting in Dan Kennedy's basement in Cleveland, in his home, and I said, Dan, if I could just put everything aside, and if you could just tell me, I said, this is the Jack Palance moment. You're Jack Palance, I'm Billy Crystal, right? From a marketing point of view, what is the one thing? What is the thing that you know with certainty, with absolute certainty, that if you do this, that you own the outcome, you know that you've got it and you've nailed it, right? And he says, it's money. And I thought, hang on a second, what? It's money. He says, he or she who spends the most wins. He or she who spends the most wins. If you want to win, you outspend the competition, right? You grow through absolute aggression of investment. Spend money. You need to be investing in your growth, right? If you don't invest in your growth, you can't grow. If you don't invest in your marketing, you can't grow. If you don't invest in yourself, you can't grow, right? You need those people who speed up the process, invest. That's how you scale an ad, right? I used to cringe. I used to be worried when I was spending like $3,000 a month on ad spend. It's like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. $3,000 a spend. Then I met a friend of mine and he was spending $20,000 a month. I'm like, God, how can you spend $20,000? It's like a crapshoot at $20,000, right? Then I met another friend of mine who was spending $100,000 a month. And then I met somebody who was spending $2 million a month on Facebook ads, right? And I sat there and I looked at the difference between what I was spending at $3,000 a month, and I was looking at the business that was spending $2 million a month, right? My business is a certain level at that time, but the $2 million a month business was way beyond, right, the horizon. Like, they were a big business because they were a $20 million a month business and spending $2 million a month on ads, right? So $20 million a month, $2 million a month, $120 million a year, right? Yeah. $24 million in advertising. See the correlation? Scale, right? And remember I said before, what are you willing to pay for a customer? If you can figure out what your acquisition cost from a marketing campaign is for a client. And in the business that we grew from 0 to 40 million in 5 years, we figured out it cost us $4,752. Last week, it cost us $4,758 per $6,000 customer, right? So every time we wrote a check for $4,758, we made 60 grand, right, in that process, right? So understand that when you understand the cost of acquisition, that's the game changer. He or she who spends the most wins, owns the market. Coca-Cola, Apple. Like, look at Apple, look at the big brands that are spending a ton of money on marketing. We already know who they are. Why are they spending so much money constantly? Because they want to embed that expense throughout your lifespan. They understand that their play is the bigger play. Their play is for life. Their play is not for today or tomorrow, right? That's not their play. Or for next month. Their play is they want to own your wallet share for years to come. Look at Apple, right? You buy your first Apple product, before you know it, you own 4. You buy an iPhone, then you buy an iPad, then you buy a MacBook Air, then you buy the AirPods, and before you know it, you're Appified. Then you buy the Apple case, then you buy the accessories, then you buy the freaking cords that break, the worst cords on the planet. They're designed to break every 6 months, so you have to buy new ones, right? You know, right? They're constantly upgrading, updating, offering, right? Adding more value. What are we doing, right? We keep buying. I went and bought the freaking iPhone 12, right? I didn't upgrade last period, but I think this is my sixth iPhone, right? My 6th iPhone, yeah? So I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars with that, right? I'm talking to you on a MacBook Pro, right? I've had many of these. I've had a number of MacBook Pros, right? MacBook Airs. I've got pods up the wazoo, right? So think about it. They're spending billions of dollars in marketing advertising, the biggest company, most profitable company on the planet, Apple, right? So understand that this is why branding is important. Understand why investing in your growth is really important. That's the trick. You know, and now, and funnily enough, that conversation I had with Dan Kennedy, that wasn't the first time that I'd heard that. I'd heard that 28 years ago by another mentor of mine called Jay Abraham. He told me 28 years, John, right? Smash it out of the park with the investment. Smash it out of the park with your ad investment, right? You'll have a license to print money the more you get your message right, you dial it in, you know your acquisition cost, that's where you scale. As long as you're breaking even, you're going to be doing well, right? Because it's about, again, the consideration of the lifetime value of a customer, okay? So the one thing, yeah? So what, you know, and it's really funny, I've asked a lot of amazing people their one thing, and I get various answers, but it's really funny, and most of it's common sense. Most people's one thing that they share this sage advice. I'm looking for that diamond in a coal bit that's buried somewhere in Iceland, right? I'm looking for that piece of that diamond, right? But what they give me is just plain old common sense, right? Simple, right? It's simple when you understand. So I want to talk about sales. I want to talk about sales a little bit, and then I know I'm going to let you guys go. Like most people struggle with the whole selling bit. There's a reason why most people struggle with the selling bit, right? Number one is the clarity of your offer. If you're not very clear about the offer and the delivery, the outcome that you're delivering, you're going to struggle to sell, right? The second thing is they treat the sales conversation like it's almost, I've got to convince, I've got to over promise, right? I've got to give this person what they're looking for. And I've got to do it in a way that they see that you're almost overselling what you do. I see a lot of people overselling what they do. And the reason why is they're not realizing what they're actually really there to do. And that is to help people. That's all selling is, to help people out, right? That's all you're doing. And so I look at sales process, and if you don't have a sales process, then you're going to struggle to make sales. And most people don't. Most clients that you work with don't have a sales process. Or if they do, it's a broken sales process, right? So one of the things that we teach, one of the things we're doing in Clients Unleashed is there's two things. There's a qualification process, and then there's the process to help the client invest, to allow the client, and listen to my words carefully here, a process to allow the customer to choose you, to allow them to choose you. because you're going to make a decision on whether or not you choose them, right? What they need to do is they need to allow themselves to make you as the choice. Yeah, I like you. I like what you've got to offer. It will help us. Let's do this. That's the place that you want to get to in the sales part of a client, right? Now, your sales process may be longer than you actually think, right? So let me explain the sales process from an agency point of view, right? So generally, most people will get a referral, or they'll accidentally stumble across somebody that might be interested in what they do, and they're going to do a presentation. So the first thing that you do is you have somebody says, hey, look, we need some Facebook help. And you go, yeah, we can help you with Facebook, or yeah, we can help you with sales automation, or yeah, we can help you with a campaign or SEO, whatever it is that you do, right? And so you might have some fundamental questions that you need to ask. So you'll go, okay, I need to figure out them, maybe the competition, what they're doing. I've got to understand some rudimentary questions about their clients, what they want to do, right? Some people ask most people don't ask enough questions, but this is what happens. So you ask a few questions, they're great. So I'm going to do a presentation. So you do a presentation, right? And you go, great, well, this is how you run a campaign, right? And you go into some detail, right? And you might show some mock-ups of ads and you demonstrate that. And then you might have a testimonial or a case study. So, hey, this is what we've done with Joe. This is, so you know that what we do works, right? And in that moment, you're demonstrating what you believe is your capability, right, through that process. Now, at the end of that process, right, you've asked a whole bunch of questions, and you've got a price point. Now, most people, the way they do it is they do discovery. What we'll do is we'll do a strategy session. So in that strategy session, this is what a strategy session, really, it's a discovery call. It has nothing to do with strategy whatsoever. It's just questions, right? So your strategy session is asking a whole bunch of questions, and then you say to the person, hey, I'm going to go away, put together a plan, a proposal, right, for this project, and then I'll shoot it to you, and then we can work together. You can decide whether or not we work together. So we go through discovery. So we go through, hey, I'm interested. Great. Well, let's do a strategy session. Great. So strategy session is a discovery session, right? Ask a whole bunch of questions, right? Get to know, say, great, I'm going to do a proposal. So you go away and then you do a proposal. You will figure out and say, hey, well, this is the whole presentation. This is what we do. Testimonial, case study, price right at the end. And generally what happens is most people offer one price, one option, right? So one price, the option. And so then two things are going to happen after you've finished your proposal. One, you may deliver it in person. So you go, hey, let me walk you through this. And then you do a presentation, you get to the price. Or two, you send them the proposal, right? You email it to them. And then you wait. Or you follow up and say, hey, how did you go? You go, hey, look, I haven't had a chance to look at it. I'll look at it on Friday. So now a few more days have passed, right? They haven't had a chance to look at it. But this is what the client does. The client flips through your proposal and goes to the last page. You know, the 3 hours worth of work that you put together, putting that presentation, massaging it so it's emulating them and putting their information in there. They just go boop, 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 straight to the last page. They go, look at the price. They go, oh, that's a bit more than we thought we would budget. Or they'll go, oh, wow, that's pretty reasonable. Or they'll go, I need to show this to somebody else, right? So they take your proposal, and maybe the person you propose to is not the decision maker. Right. So they go to the decision maker and say, listen, I've got that. We're doing the Facebook ad thing. Sat down with a Facebook agency guy. He seemed like a pretty nice person, or she was a pretty nice person. I've got the proposal here. Here, just have a quick look at it. And they hand it over to the decision maker. And this is what the decision maker does. Straight to the last page. They don't read the proposal. They don't look at the cover. They go, wait, how much is it going to cost us? And here's what the decision maker does. Wow. That's a little bit more than I thought we had budgeted. Or they'll say something like, oh, that sounds pretty reasonable. Or they'll say this, is there something else that we should be doing other than this? Do you think we should be spending our money on something else other than this, right? Or what else should we be doing? Or how many people have you spoken to, right? Go and get me another 2 or 3 quotes, right? So then your presentation, your sales process becomes all about the price and not the value that you deliver, not the thing that you deliver to the market as value. It's all about the money, right? So if it's about the money, then it's a race to the bottom, right? Who can do this cheaper, right? So that's what happens. So you do that. You may follow up. You'll get told, hey, haven't a chance to look at that. Or eventually what will happen is you'll get ghosted. They won't return your emails. They won't return your phone calls. They won't do anything because most people are not, they just don't want to say no. Right? They don't want to be rude. They don't feel like they don't want to be rude. They want to, oh, look, I'm not really busy. They get caught up and time goes by. And the longer the time from the time of the presentation that you made to the time of them making a decision, the longer that time goes, the more they forget about what you talked about. So then it becomes all about the money, right? So that's the sales process. Now, in that sales process that I've just described to you, think about it, right? They came to you, initial conversation, then you offer a strategy session. So you sit down and do the strategy session. That's step number 2. Then you go away, do the proposal, step number 3. Then you send the proposal or deliver the presentation, step number 4. Then you follow up, step number 5, right? Follow up, and they might become a client. They might not become a client. They might put you off for a couple of months, right? But that's 5 steps, right? In a process, in a presentation, right? Now, think about this. Think about this. They're about to invest thousands of dollars in your service. They're not investing $100 or $500 or a grand. They're investing thousands, right? So if you're asking to invest more than 15 grand or 20 grand in your services, they have some considerations to make, right? Anything more than 20 grand, they're going to have to think about it. Or they're going to have their questions answered so they don't have to think about it and go, this is the right choice, right? That's what's going to happen, right? So let me share with you a very different sales process, right? This is one that I advocate, right? The conversion rate on this sales process, if you get it right and you follow it, is pretty much about 60% on average. 60% of the chance you're going to close a deal if you follow this process effectively. What you want to do is eliminate all the objections right up front, even before you get to the strategy session, right? And yeah, anything costing $2.5 grand a month is going to cost them more than 20K. So they have to make a consideration, right? If you're asking somebody for 20 grand and they don't know who you are, you've got to convince them that you're the right person to give that $20,000 to, right? They're trusting you with that money. So they've got to know that whole know, like, and trust, right? So here's the thing. This is a different approach to this process, right? Number one, you want to qualify. You want to make sure this person can pay right up front. You want to make sure this person is ready to do what you have to offer. This is something I need to do right now. You have to make sure that this person is the decision maker, right? You have to make sure that you understand why they're doing this. Why? What problem are you solving? You need to understand that before anything, before you even think about proposing or presenting or anything. You want to do that right up front. You want to figure out, hey, are we a fit as part of that process? So step 1 in the sales process is inviting people to have that initial conversation. You may take 5 invitations to get that one initial conversation. You may take 20 invitations to get that one conversation going. Even if you run an ad for a lead, if you're doing a lead ad, you're going to have to engage that person between 6 and 12 times to get them to your sales process. Even on a lead ad, because people are busy, right? They're not there when you want them to be there. They're not convenient, right? So you're having to play the game of building that relationship and that communication. So step 1 is what you're doing to engage the client, right? What problem are you solving? How are you helping solve that problem? Why should they listen? Why should they take the next step and have a brief conversation with you? That's step 1. Step 2 is the conversation. In that conversation, you want to find out what's going on, right? So there's 2 things going to happen. 1, right, we need to get really clear about what they want to do. Number 2, they've got to understand who you are and what you do, right? And number 3, they're going to make a decision on whether or not this is something they want to do right now, right? So that's the qualifying step, right? So that's step number 2, right? Sorry, the appointment is step number 1. Pre-appointment is step number 1. Appointment is step number 1. Call is number 3. Right? Sorry, appointment is step number 2, call is number 3. So we've got that call. Now from that call, we're going to make a decision. We need to take the next step. So we need to give you the ability to either we're going to put a plan together, right? We're going to put a proposal or a presentation together, and then we're going to deliver that presentation. So what we might do is we want to ask you a whole bunch of questions in discovery to get very clear about what's going on, what's not working, what is working, what your expectations are, what you want to do, what needs to happen, what's the what, right? And why is this important, right? So we need to, in our little qualifier, in that step before we get to this presentation, we need to sit there and say, well, how important is this? Is it a now thing or a later thing? Well, it's a now thing. Okay, great. Why is it a now thing? Well, we need to get this going. We don't have a system in place. We've got to do it, right? Great. So do you understand you need to make an investment? Have you budgeted for it? Because let me tell you, you need to be looking at a budget between 3 and 5 grand. Is that something you can handle right now? Are you okay with that budget, right? Yeah, we can handle that. We've got the budget. Great. We've got the money out of the way. Now, are we talking to you or do we need to talk to some partners, right? It's very important. There's no point in us having a discussion if you've got to refer or defer to somebody else. We want to make sure that they have the opportunity, those people who are responsible, including you. You may be the only one, that you have the opportunity to be able to ask us questions directly, to be able to help you to see that this is the right fit or the right path for you to take. So do we need anybody else involved in the conversation? Yes or no? Yes, my wife, or yes, my business partner, or yes, my 3 business partners, right? Well, great. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a discovery session. I'd like to do that discovery session with all your business partners, or if it's just you, it's you, right? So we're going to do a discovery. Now, from that discovery, we're going to provide a solution, right? Now, at the end of the day, if we provide a solution, the idea is that if you like what we do, that we're going to work together. So I want to eliminate that whole concept of needing to think about this right up front, right? So at the end of that presentation, I'm going to ask you when we meet, once we go through that process, I'm going to ask you, right? Can you definitively say no today to this offer that we're making you, right? If we present a solution, show you how we work together, can you definitively say no to us, right? That's a really weird thing to do in a qualifying call, don't you think? Right? That's a weird thing to do. But let me tell you, it's a psychological play, right? There's a reason why you're doing this, because in their mind, what you're trying to do is, look, thinking about it is wasting your time and my time. There's no point in going through the process if we need to think about it, right? So I want to make sure that you're definitively sure that this is what you want to do, that you're sure that this is the process and path that you want to take, that you're sure that you're happy to make this investment, right? I want to make sure. And if it's a no, I'd rather you tell me right up front that it's a no. So can we be very sure and say no? Are you confident? Are you able to say no to me? Yes, I am able to say it. Awesome. So if we are on the right path, we've got the right objective, we've got the right plan, and you like this whole process, is it okay at the same time that I can show you how we can get started? Are you cool with that? And they're going to go, yes, right? They've told you that if you've answered those questions, they're going to say yes. In their mind, they say, yeah, if you give me these things, I'll do it, right? So now you're delivering on what they're asking, right? And it's very hard, by the way, if you're delivering what they're asking for, it's very hard for them to say no to that. Right? If they've told you that they'll make that decision and you've answered the questions and you have answered the questions, you've got a sale, right? This is where you can get a 60 to 80% conversion if you do this thing right up front. So in that process, right, you're going to ask them. Then you're going to do it again in discovery, right? When you do the discovery, hey, I just want to remind you, when we do this, I just need to know that you can say no, right? The money's okay. Yep, money's good. You are the decision maker. That's fine. I know that you're going to write the check, right? You'll know that this is what you want to do. This is important, and we know the reasons why it's important to do this now. Yes, great. You're going to reiterate in that discovery, right? So then when they get to the presentation, you're going to do it again, right? So now we've done discovery. That's step 4. Step 5 is you going away, putting your proposal together. Step 6 is now you delivering the presentation. Now, in between step 5 and step 6, you want to do this thing called indoctrination. Indoctrination is providing them with information about you, your philosophy, frequently asked questions, case studies, right? Things that they need to consider. You need to create a little bit of indoctrination. You can do that on video. You can do that on an email. You can do that, you can create something for them that they can always go to, put on a web page, right? But you want to create a bit of indoctrination. They need to get to know you, know, like, and trust. Remember, you'll be professional. So indoctrination is really key. The least you want to do is an email. Say, I just want to be super clear. Just want to let you know this is what's going to be happening from this process, right? We want to help you. We're super excited about working with you. So this is who this is essentially our business, how we help our clients get the results that we help our clients get. This is who we really help and work with very closely to get amazing results. Our philosophy is that, we want to develop your business. We want to be there for a long time, not a short time, right? Your indoctrination. You've got to have it's between step 5 and 6, indoctrination, right? Letting people know. So there's several ways in which you can do that. I love using video. Little personal Loom video saying, hey, appreciate the fact you're taking this time and going through this process. Just want to let you know this is a little bit about us, our background and history, what we do. A video is a very personal way to do that. If you use Loom, L-O-O-M, just go Loom video, Google it. It's a great service because then you can see if they've watched the video, right? If they watch the video, there's an email that says, hey, they've watched the video. That means they've got the indoctrination piece, right? So now we've got the delivery piece. We've done our presentation. I would prefer you do a pitch deck rather than a proposal, right? Because you're going to present the solution. Because at the end of the presentation, you're asking to go ahead. If you're doing a proposal, right, keep it really short, 3 pages, bullet point. That's, if they have to go away, that's all you need to do. Hey, this is what you said you wanted. This is what needs to happen. And the price goes on the first page, not on the last page. In fact, the price goes on the first paragraph. Your investment, so your objective is you want to achieve this outcome. Your investment to achieve this outcome is X amount of dollars, right? Now, let me share with you how we're going to help you do that. Then they have to read the other 3 pages to go ahead, right? But I don't want to do that. I want to sell through the presentation. I want to sell on spot. So things that you need to be very clear about. You need to be clear about their objective, what they want to do. What is the thing that they want to achieve as an outcome? Objective is all important, right? The second thing you need to be clear about is why. Why do they want to do this? Why is this so important, right? Why is this important right now? What is the outcome? Why? You need to delve and you need to listen when you ask that question, because you're going to write all the notes, because that's what your presentation is going to be, is why. It's the emotional part, right? And then the bottleneck, what's stopping them from doing it right now? So what's stopping you from getting this done? You need to know those 3 things. The thing that they need to achieve, why it's important for them to do this and why it's important to do it now, and what's stopping them from doing it. Because what's stopping them is they haven't got you to help them, right? Because if the objective was achievable, they'd be doing it themselves. They wouldn't be talking to you, right? So if you've gotten to this place, if you've gotten through discovery, if you follow this process, 80% they've already made a decision to buy, right? The last 20% is the formality of how we work together, your presentation. That's the last 20%. And you are going to either convince them to buy, or you're going to put doubt in their mind and convince them not to buy. Not them. They're not going to do this. You're going to do this. You will do this to them. You will either help them buy or you will repel them. That's what you're going to do, right? So think about it. They've given that time. They get to the point of the presentation. They're already invested. They're going to give you an hour and a half of their time to listen to you, to solve a problem that they want solved. So you've got a pretty good chance of having a customer at that point. The only thing that's going to stop them from buying is that you put doubt in their mind. That's why you need to know your shit, right? You need to know your stuff. If you don't know your stuff, that's going to come out in your presentation. If you stumble along the way, that's going to come out, right? But you have to own your stuff. So 80% of the purchase is done before they even get to your presentation. In the presentation, you're going to do the same thing. Great. This is what we're here to do, right? The money you can handle, right? You've got a budget. We've talked about that, right? What we're going to do is going to walk you through the plan that we've put together, and your plan is your presentation, right? So what does your plan look like? Really simple. Here's your objective. Here's why your objective is really important. Here's what's happened if we achieve that objective based on what you think is important. These are the outcomes. Now, if we don't do this, the worst case scenario, you're back to where you start and nothing's going to happen. Best case scenario, this is going to be awesome. You're going to get there faster, get the results, and blah, blah, blah. Worst case, best case, right? That you want to do, right? Now, so what I'm going to do is going to walk you through our plan that we put together. These are your bottlenecks. This is what stopped you from getting there, right? Over and above what you're doing now, this is the outcome we're looking for. This is what we will do to solve that problem, right? Now, based on what we share, you stop. Once you've presented the solution, no money yet, right? Once you've done the solution and you've shared, you might be sharing a case study or a walkthrough or whatever, right, that you've done, you have to stop right there. And then you're going to ask this really cool question, and you're going to say, great, so do you like what we presented so far? Yes. Can you see how it can help you get a result? Absolutely. Is there any questions that you have about what we've shared with you? Do you see how this is going to work? Yeah, I see it can work. I get it, blah, blah. Great. And then you're going to ask them, what do you think we should do now? And then you're going to shut up. And they're going to go, how much is this thing going to cost, right? They're going to say a couple of things. They're going to go, I don't know, you tell me, all right? I don't know, you tell me. Okay, great. Is it okay to walk you through how we work together, right? Notice how I'm not avoiding the price on purpose, but we need to know how we're going to work together. The price is important too. Or they might say, well, how much is this going to cost, right? Okay, great. Now, before I do that, do you mind if I walk you through how we work together to get this done? Yep, that's fine. So then you go through, this is how we work together, right? This is what's going to happen next, right? We show you, we'll give you a couple of options. You're going to agree, you make an initial installment to get started, and then we go, right? Then you go, great. So you cool about that? You see how it works? You got any questions about that? About how we work together? No, we're good. Okay, great. So great. Now, what do you think we should do? Question, where do you think we should go to from here? And then you shut up again. And they go, I don't know. What about the price? Great. Now, before I share the investment, based on what we talked about right now, are you pretty serious about getting this done? And they go, yeah, we're pretty serious. Awesome. Let me walk you through how we get started, right? We have option 1, option 2, and option 3. Option 1, option 2, option 3, right? At least have 2 or 3 options. Do not have one option. If you want one option, you've got a 50-50 chance, yes or no. You want a yes or a yes answer. Yes or yes. So this is option 1, option 2, option 3. Option 1, this is the bare bones of basics of what you want to do. You don't want to sell option 1. But if they're going to leave, they're going to leave with option 1, right? They're going to pay for something. Option 2 is the one you want them to buy. That's the one you pad the value, right? You explain, this is the result. This is how we get the result we're talking about. This is the one that everybody invests in that works with us to solve this problem. All the businesses we work with get a successful outcome by doing this option number 2, right? Now, option number 3, some of our clients want to put this thing on steroids and they go for the whole enchilada option, right? Take out the big pizza, the family extra large, right? This has everything, right, thrown on top of it. And the price is significantly higher. Right, the price. By the way, one of the things I teach is the pricing strategy of these options. So I'm not going to go through that, but there's a real psychology to this. There's a very powerful psychology to using that pricing model. So we're in the high price. So then you stop and you go, great. Based on what we know and what you say and what you're looking for and your objective, which do you believe is the best option for you? And you shut up. And they go, well, it seems to us that option 2 is the one we want to go. Or they might double cross you and say, hey, you know what? We want the accelerated enchilada piece. We want the extra large family pizza, right? That's what we want, right? Now, here's the thing. If you don't offer it, they can't buy it. If you don't offer it as an option, they can't buy it. So what do you want to do? Put a high price premium option in there, right? Because some people are going to double cross you. They're going to buy the option, right? So they choose the second one. Great. So do you have any questions about the program that we're delivering? Do you have any questions about what we're doing here? You cool with that? They go, yep, great. So where do you think we should go to from here? And then you shut up again. And then they go, okay, well, how do we get this started? Because that's the only place they've got to go. You've answered their objective. You've understood why they're doing this. You've eliminated their bottlenecks. You've explained how you work together to get this outcome. You've demonstrated that you know how to help them get the outcome. You've shown them what the investment is to get the outcome, and you've probably anchored that against the return or the objective of how much they're getting. And then what are they going to do? They've got to start. If they don't start, what happens? Back to square one, nothing. You're not going to hit your objective. The thing you said that you wanted the most that was important was a now thing. It's very hard for them to negate themselves in this sales process, in this pitch. They won't go against it. They're going to go, well, okay, we should, how do we get this done? Great. And then you take the money, the deposit on the spot, right? You don't say, I'm going to send you an invoice. You don't say, I'm going to send you a proposal. There's nothing to send. It's here, right? Let me walk you through the agreement right now. This is our agreement. This is what we agreed to, right? This is what we're going to do. List of our inclusions. Your investment, I can send you an invoice instantly. There's software that you can use. When you take a credit card, press a button and it sends them an invoice that they're paid. Payment on the spot, not later. Right? Because, what do you want to do? Expedition, right? You're a professional. Let's get this thing done, right? So remember at the beginning of that presentation, you've eliminated all those objectives again. In fact, you've eliminated the objectives 3 times in this process, right? If you map out this process, there are 11 steps that I've just shared with you. 11, right? Not 5, right? Now, by the way, it's not hard to go through this process. These are just rudimentary, simple things. But what you're doing is you're helping people in this process. You're giving them exactly what they want. You're answering their questions. You're understanding what the outcomes are. You're understanding why this is important. You're understanding why it's a now thing and not a later thing. You understand that they can handle the investment. You understand all these things. It's really easy from that point on. It's really the only way that you screw this up is you don't do it, right? That's how you screw it up. You just don't follow the process, right? You follow the traditional process of ghosting and referral. That's why it's so important. I would rather speak to a qualified prospect than somebody who's exploring. If anybody's exploring, you're wasting your time. They're not going to buy. What's the point of going through 7 hours worth of work for somebody to say no to you? That's insane. That's desperation, right? You don't need to do that. But if you're really clear, because they're coming to you because they're wanting help. If they're agreeing to a meeting, they're agreeing because they want some help. They want to see what you got. So let's get very clear about that help that we deliver in that process. Yeah. So I'm happy. Thanks, John. Appreciate you saying that was brilliant. Appreciate that. Now, saying all of this, right? I'm happy to answer some questions. I know there's a whole bunch of people watching me on the Facebooks and the YouTubes, but I've got a whole audience here. Randy, good to see you here again. Chris, Jason Croft, thanks, mate. Good to see you. Always good to see you, my friend. John, Grant, Rod, Mo, Faisal, good to see you here, Faisal. Don Ferguson, the stalwart, always here. Good to see you, my friend. Andrew Harden, mate. Nice to have you here. If you have questions, I will, for the next 15 minutes, I'll open up to questions. If you want to work with me, I'm doing this right now. It's called Clients Unleashed. I've actually put that in the chat. It's clientsunleashed.com. If you go to the page, what I'm doing right now is I want to focus on this piece of let's just get paying customers, right? Like get clear on our offer, get clear on our strategy, get clear on the process. I've got step-by-step process on how you do that effectively, right? In that process. From there, I'm putting in a lead generation system, an automated system using a software, third-party software, that'll generate 50 connections per day, not LinkedIn, not on LinkedIn, niche targeted, right? You're going to be engaging between 15 to 20 people in a conversation. That conversation leads to an appointment. The goal is to get 1 to 3 appointments per day. Remember, 1 appointment per day, 3 to 5 clients a month. I've built a system and a process that'll help you do that, right? In that process. So the second piece in the puzzle is having a predictable, consistent way of engaging people who are interested in what you have to offer. That's the piece that I'm putting into the second piece. The third piece is walking you through how you apply the sales process that I've shared, how you apply it to what you do to deliver to the market. I've got the scripts, the structures, the strategy, everything. The information is kept in a private Facebook group called Clients Unleashed, right? The program is outlined, the whole thing is outlined. If you go to clientsunleashed.com, you can read all about it, right? This is not a large group, by the way. I'm not doing this with a massive group. I'm actually doing this with a relatively small group, right? Because I want to personalize. I show up twice a week. Those times that I show up is to actually unpack your strategy. So you're getting direct coaching from me. I record those sessions, place them in the Facebook group, right? Twice a week, right? The idea is to keep you accountable. The goal is to get you to 100K of recurring or annualized revenue within a 6-week period. That's the goal, right? But I'm giving you the exact step-by-step approach and process to do this. So if you go to Clients Unleashed, you can jump on if you want to jump on. There's a whole bunch of people already who are here. Thank you for doing that. But the process, we have units that you actually follow through. It's pretty simple. There's also a portal you'll have access to with a whole bunch of resources, pitch decks. I've got a pitch deck in there that's generated millions of dollars in sales just this year alone that you can adapt and use based on this sales process that I just shared with you. Agreements, there's all sorts of stuff in there. Lots of resource tools for business. I've even got resource partners that will deliver for you as well, end to end. I've even got people to deliver appointments for your clients, end-to-end, Facebook ads straight through to lead management to appointment, done for you at white label prices. So if you're looking for fulfillment, I've got those sorts of people as well that you have availability to. So Clients Unleashed is all about just generating clients. That's what it's about, right? So it's a really unique program. I only focus on those 3 things: get super clear, get confident in your delivery. So once we own that, we know that we can actually go to the market and have those conversations. A predictable source of leads that I'll be introducing you to that you'll be able to use. It's a third-party software. It's really expensive, but it's really powerful. I've been testing it now for about 4 weeks and it's been phenomenal. And it works brilliantly. Like getting appointments has been fantastic. So I share with you the structure on how to do that so you can apply to that. You get the first 700 opportunities for free. So you get to play with the software for 2 weeks for free. I've organized that as a trial. So if you're into Clients Unleashed, you're going to have at least 150 conversations, right? If you jump in. I don't know about you, but if I have the opportunity to 150 conversations, I know that I'm going to make some sales. That's the goal. I know out of 150 conversations or communications, I'm going to generate 3 to 5 clients. I know that for a fact, right? So this is a system, a process I'm trying to get people to follow a predictable path to the outcome. If you jump into Clients Unleashed, or you can go to that website, you can see all about it, and all the information's there, and it's up to you. By the way, you know, I don't need to go into testimonials and stuff like that. I've been doing this for 33 years. I know what I'm doing. I've built many multi-8-figure businesses. I've failed. I cannot tell you how many times I've failed. I've failed dozens of times in my own business ventures, but I've also had some pretty doozies. I've been pretty lucky along the way. I've been doing this for a very long time. I work with some pretty amazing people. I have scaled with some pretty big agencies around the planet. If you know me, or you've had some experience with me, that you know what I talk about works. So if it's for you and you're ready, we're 2021. I want to actually crush the early part of this year for as many people, so they can set themselves up for a phenomenal year in 2021. People are desperately looking for your services. I want to help you focus on the most fundamental thing, and that is to generate clients for your business. So if you're going to Clients Unleashed, right, then go for that. Mo, I don't have a program in Consulting Unleashed. I did have Agency Unleashed, which is a different program. That is very different to what Clients Unleashed is. Consulting Unleashed is not a program, that's a Facebook group. But Agency Unleashed was a program. It was a 2-month program. Clients Unleashed is a different program, different structure. So learning from best way to speed up. Thanks, Jason Croft. Learning from me is the best way to speed up. Appreciate that. Jason has been in some of our trainings and programs, and he's probably got one of the most phenomenal podcasts out there. Highly recommend you look up Jason Croft. Any questions? I'm more than happy to answer your questions. We've got a whole bunch of people here on this call. If you have a question about what I've just shared, if you have a question about something that you need to work on, then I'm more than happy to help you. So I've got, I'm going to give you about 8 minutes. By the way, I didn't expect to be here for 2 hours, but I want to say thank you for hanging out with me on New Year's Eve, wherever you are, for 2 freaking hours. I really appreciate that. I just want to say thanks. For those of you in my time zone, Happy New Year. If this is your New Year's Day, so thank you for doing that. If you've got a question, ask. If you want to unmute, you can unmute and you can ask me. Faisal, good to see you there. Probably standing in a park somewhere. How you doing, man? Have you got a question for me, Faisal?
Yeah, I do. Nice talking to you again.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I would say my niche is helping people with email campaigns.
Yep.
From your experience, what industries would have big revenue from an email campaign with a small list? Because currently I'm just targeting companies that when we shoot an email, even though they have a big list, their returns are small.
Think about product categories at high price tickets. Faisal, this is a really good question. I really appreciate asking the question, because the answer I'm about to give you is relevant to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just thinking about, okay, you're essentially crafting an email campaign. You're looking for people. The best bang for buck is for high ticket. So for me, I think high ticket is at the low end is $1,000, right? But I would say, let's say a starting point of about $3,000 for a sale, up to $15,000, $20,000, $100,000, right? So generally, and this is just to give you understanding, most businesses, Faisal, they'll have an email list of about 800 people. Like most businesses, on average, will have an email list of around 600 to 800 customers. They don't. It's really weird. Small businesses don't have big lists. They don't collect lists. They're terrible. But they do have an email list. So most businesses, if you think about it, 600 to 800 people. If your worst case scenario was a 1% conversion, you're looking at what, 6 sales to 8 sales, right? 6 sales at 10 grand a pop is $60,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Six sales at for 800 or 8 sales at $80,000. 6 people, right? Out of 800 people, do you think you can make 6 sales or 8 sales, right? This is possible, right? I've helped a company generate 1.2 million in sales out of a list of 100, with a conversion rate of 6%, right? So out of a list, 6 people, right, paid 200 grand a pop for the offer for the campaign, right, for the sale. So my first question is, who's got a list? What businesses actually have customer email lists that they have? That's my first question, right? My second question, let's pick businesses that have a higher ticket value, right?
So, let's say the roofing guys, the HVAC guys, the paint, contracting businesses that have relatively small lists, 600 to 800 lists of customers, and the price ticket is relatively high. That's my first choice. So if I was to choose a website where I'd find all these companies, if you went to Houzz, HOUZZ.com, Houzz.com, most people are paying about 30 grand to be advertising on that website. So they're spending a lot of money. So if they're willing to spend 30 grand on advertising, they're probably willing to kick in on an email marketing campaign that's going to make sales. Now, there's two types of email campaigns that you can run, Faisal, that I would offer to people with a small list. One campaign would be a reignition campaign. So either to get existing customers or past leads to buy, right? Either getting existing past leads to buy. So, hey, we're offering an offer, and you want to run a campaign that has probably about between 4 and 12 emails, I would say, would be about the average. The 4 email sequence would be, here's the offer, haven't heard back from you, here's the offer again. Hey, are you interested in the offer? We've got a whole bunch of people jumping and buying offer. That would be the 3rd email. And the 4th email is, hey, we're running out. Are you interested in going ahead and taking advantage of the offer? That would be a basic 4 email campaign. That's like a cash email campaign. A longer email campaign would be 11. The campaign would be a little bit different, right? The first 3 emails are about the value proposition. What's coming up? What's coming? Adding some value. Hey, here's some things you need to take into consideration. And the 4th email is a soft offer. Hey, by the way, if you've been watching these emails, we thought we'd do something nice for you. You can get access to the deal over here. We thought we'd offer this deal. Love to know what you think about it. So the 4th email will be a soft offer. Then you do 2 or 3 more value offers, 2 or 3 value pieces, 2 or 3 value pieces. So now you're up to emails 8 or 9, right? 8 or 9, then you want to do 1 hard offer. Email 8 or 9 is 1 hard offer. And then from the hard offer, you just want to do 3 or 4 emails that say, hey, offer's still available, offer's still available, offer's still available. So now you've got an 11 sequence. Now, if you do a campaign like that, you'll make sales. If you've got a great offer, you're going to make sales, right? As part of that. Yeah. So to me, that's a great strategy. Yeah. So number 1, who's got a high ticket? Number 2, a great place to start with lots of businesses that have those sorts of small lists. Houzz.com. Anybody that's selling, look at product categories, right? Look at furniture companies. They've got great customer lists. Factory showroom, location type businesses, destination type business where people have to go to the destination to buy the product, right? So think product categories, right? Car dealerships don't have, most of them have an okay list, but most of them don't do email marketing. It's really weird. In the pandemic, we bought a car because I needed a car because I got stuck in Australia. I didn't have a car. We're supposed to be living in another part of the world at the moment, but we're here. So I had to go and buy a car. Now, I bought that car in March, and I haven't had a single email from the company that I bought the car from. Right? Nothing. Right? And by the way, I spent some money. I bought a nice car. So car dealerships, how many cars could you be selling right now? Like it's New Year, right? Freshen up the car. Let's do a good deal on the one that you've got, right? So car dealerships are really good. Like I said, product categories, looking for high ticket product items that people sell, and then reach out to the companies. Now, the way that I would reach out, Faisal, is this. And John, who's listening intently, has asked me a question. This might even help you in this process. But what I would do is, I've just outlined a strategy for you, Faisal. What I would do is I would go, hey, I've got a strategy that will convert, right? Most people run a single promotion and they're expecting that single promotion to win, right? What I'd like to do is I've got a process and a methodology and a campaign methodology that's going to maximize your ability to convert sales. Can I show you that methodology? That's your offer. Can I show you how this is going to convert, right? That offer. So that's what I would do. So look, I know the method. I've got a process. It's not about an email campaign. It's about a campaign to engage people who know who you are, to create a relevant offer, and more importantly, to run it as a campaign so you're actually seeing sales opportunities all the way through. Is that something that you would be interested in? Now, if you go to the 1 hour and 50-minute mark of this recording on Facebook, on the Consulting Unleashed Facebook page, you'll be able to go here and you'll be able to script exactly what I told you that you can just give to somebody else, right? And so I would just go and say, hey, look, can I show? If I guarantee you, if you shared that offer or said to people, listen, I've got a methodology and structure that does this thing. It's January. What if we kicked off some sales before the end of the month and added cash flow and revenue to business? Are you interested in something that's going to give you bang for buck? Is that something that might be useful to your business? Yes or no? And they're going to go, some people go, yeah, sure, I'll look at what you got. And some people go, no, I don't want to look at what you got. But I'll guarantee you're going to get some people say yes. And then when you share it, then when you sit there and you go, great, well, let's look at the product offering. Let's look at the category. Let's look at the list. Let's look at, because just running an email campaign to a list that isn't warm, right? The campaign that we ran for the 1.2 million out of 100 lists, we had to warm that list up. They never emailed anything to their 100 lists. They never emailed anything. So all of a sudden you get one email, you think, well, why aren't they buying, right? So we had to think of a strategy to warm them up so that we ran like 4 emails to warm that list up, and then we made the offer. Right. By the way, the company we did that for was a trucking company, a company that sold trucks. Right. What we did the email campaign was in a product category was selling the trailers. So these were like big, think Mack trucks and the back end, the tarpaulin, the big trailers, the containers in the back. That's what we sold. Right. We sold refurbished units. Some of those units are like 100,000 plus. Right. $50,000 to $100,000, not cheap. It's a very high ticket offer. So small list, 100 people, right? So we had to let them know the first 4 emails in that campaign to that trucking company was letting them know how those trailers were refurbished and the fact that they placed a warranty on the trailer. So they gave a 2-year warranty, which you don't normally get on trailers, with the trailer because they completely refurbished them. They made them look like new and they were half the cost of a brand new one, right? And so we had to explain, like we took photos of guys, painting the tires, and we showed the quality of the canvas that we put on the trailers, and them welding support struts to make the trailer stronger. So we educated on the quality of the product, right? And then we said, listen, we've got 25 of these things. We've got 25 sitting here, and because you've been kind enough, we want to give them to you first. We want to give you first crack. We want to clear all 25 out, but we're going to give you VIP shot of this deal. We've given you a special price point. If you want the price point, you need to come and talk to us. We've given you a special price point. You are going to save a ton of money. These things, look at them. They showed photos. Look at them. They're brand new, right? They look brand new. You're going to save a ton. We've got 25. First in, best dressed. First in, best dressed. The people who come in first will save the most. Right? Wow. That was the deal. Right? So we cleared the stock in less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
One company bought 7 of the trailers. 7. Wow. Yeah, bought 7. Wow. One guy bought 7. Another guy bought about 3. Another guy, and then they started selling individual trailers to tracking them. But it was a simple email that got the conversion. Yeah. So does that help you, Faisal?
Yeah, it helps very much. And excellent session today. Thanks, John, for sharing a lot of your knowledge. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. All right. So, John Purchase. I love that name, man. I love that name. That's a doozy of a name. I've got to spend money with this guy, right? John says we create and produce video series that are aimed at client customers to create a local or other celebrity through creating emotional connections. Okay, so basically you're doing video to build authority for a customer, or you're helping customers build authority and brand in their community, in their business. Could be health niche, could be a brick and mortar, local business. I'm your guy, right? I'm your person that you want to come to your building. Mate, this is a huge thing that will help with funnels. This is a huge thing that, like, for ad campaigns, the video production for ad campaigns is great. What I would do is I'd be selling a video funnel. I'd be selling video funnel for people. I'd be saying, hey, think of a sequence, and what you want to do is do production. So we charge By the way, I've done this. We've done this in one of our agencies. We charge 15 grand to do their 5 1-minute videos. 5 1-minute videos. All it is face to camera, script, right? We give them a script, teleprompter. By the way, we had crews travel the country really inexpensively to set this up. By the way, the cost was pretty negligible, but I think it cost to do one shoot cost us with a production crew less than $1,800 because you could shoot everything in 1 hour. You could shoot all the videos in 1 hour, right? So we spent $1,800 on a crew to set up with the business owner. So we didn't need to be in location. We just sent a crew out there, gave the instructions. This is what we want you to do. This is what you want to catch. We would give the script to the person. They'd stick it on the teleprompter, and they literally just practice reading the script to the teleprompter, face to camera. Here's what we are. Here's what we do. This is what we believe in. This is our philosophy. This is what we're doing to support the community. And it was basic like a 5-video funnel. So the first video was, hey, thanks, like it was a sale. It was an ad campaign, basically, right? So it was a lead gen thing, right? So that's one way to do it. You can actually give people the structure. Most people that we talk to love the idea because it's the fact that they're actually in the medium that people are looking. By the way, we would average 70,000 views per video. 70,000 views. Well, because we're really good at Facebook advertising, so we run a lot of lead gen to the videos, right? So in the first month, they'd get about 70,000 views on average. Yeah, in our series, in our systems, I think in a year, we got something like, I think across clients, based on this strategy, we had something like 7.5 million views, just out of the same video over and over again, but just for different clients, same strategy. Yeah. So video is important. So there's a couple of things of video. Content, unique content, very, very important, very powerful, right? A friend of mine, Ken, who is a videographer, he's based out of Japan, but he doesn't do any of the shooting himself. So he hires production crews around the world to go and do the videos. What they do is they create their content curation, right? Content curation. They shoot 120 videos in 2 days. 120 videos in 2 days. They're short, punchy videos, 1 minute to 3 minute, really short. But what they do is they get a string of topics lined up, and the person who is the expert or the person who's the owner of the business, who knows their business better than anybody else, just speaks to those topics, and then all that content is created. He charges about 30 grand for that 2-day shoot, right? $30,000. The profit in it is huge. The profit is huge. The editing is done. The editing is done in real time because as they're shooting, they're editing, right? So they just got the camera going. If they need to do multiple, they try and pick locations that add multiple scenery, so they're not looking at the 120 videos are not in the same spot. So and by the way, the scenery change, so I'm talking strategy here, right? The scenery change is ridiculous. This is the change. I got this shot, and then I move over and I get this shot, and I move over and I get this shot, and then I step aside one and I get this shot. So the background changes wherever they stand. So it looks like they're in a different place every time. It's a cool strategy, right? So people need that sort of work. They need production. They need content. And so, go to companies with a content package. Go to companies and say, listen, you want social media, you want branding, you want Insta, right? Instagram is 15 seconds, yeah? Right? So let's shoot a whole bunch of 15-second videos. So the thing that people will warm towards is packages. Plus, what I would be doing, John, if I were you, I'd go and make a list of all the top agencies near you or around you and say, dude, we do video production, and this is the type of production we do. Yeah, you should be getting a ton of referred work. Ken, we did a strategy with Ken, and we used LinkedIn for this strategy. We got him $1.4 million worth of work in 30 days. Yeah, that kept him busy for 8 months. That kept him busy for 8 months. Yeah. So you can do this. There's a high demand for what you do, John, a very high demand for what you do. Video is king. Video and audio. And by the way, and this is a bit of a niche thing, audio for search. Audio, use, in your SEO, using audio or using audio cues for search, because people now search, they're picking up an iPhone, they go, you know, hey Siri, hey Alexa, hey, I just literally turned Siri on when I said that. Yeah, so what they're doing, or what you're doing is you're catering toward the voice auto cues that people have when they're doing search. So that's another thing. The video, mate, you should be flat out, dude. Like, you should not be even here. You should be enjoying New Year's Eve. But you should be, like, the market for what you do is massive. The market right now, like, for example, one of my clients, because I'm Champions, they're looking, they don't have enough video production guys working in their team. So they're always hiring video production. And they're the guys that are getting a minimum of 20 grand for 30 seconds. Yeah. They're the guys that are doing, 20 grand for 30 seconds, a minute, up to 30 grand to just do one minute thing. Yeah. But that's what it costs for production, location, team, rigging, the whole thing, right? That's the bang, the editing. Yeah. That's what they're charging out there. I know that I can get production way cheaper in Southeast Asia, but I'm not going to get the quality that I need if I got to go to press or media. Yeah. But for social, mate, social is all quick and punchy, short, punchy stuff. Package it up, they'll love it. And there are plenty of businesses out there that are desperately looking for unique content. Real estate market, massively looking for unique content out there. They're looking for production value, production strategy. Yeah. And they'll pay for it too. They got the money. They know that it works. That's why they're paying for it, right? That's why the video guys are making a ton of money right now. They're doing really well. So thank you for asking the question. John McDermott, what percentage should I ask for when doing an email campaign for a client? John, that is going to be dependent upon the profit margin that the client actually makes. So the question is going to be, it could be 3%, it could be 11%, it could be 8%, it could be 15%, could be 50%. It all depends on the profit margin. So if you're going to charge a fee for management and you want to do rev share, well, rev share is fantastic, but you want to take into consideration the percentage of the profit for the client. So you're asking a very general question when I don't know who the client is, what the client value is, what the volume is, what their capability and capacity is, how much inventory they got left to clear. All these questions I would need answered to be able to give you an accurate percentage that you should ask for. Depending on volume, anywhere between, like at the low end, 3%. By the way, I paid 3% to Dan Kennedy for a long time on a campaign that we did together. So I was paying him 3% on email marketing campaign. Yeah. So anywhere from 3% up to, depending on the relationship and depending on the profit margin and what you do for volume, up to 15%, up to a third if the profit margin's there. You can just do it on profit. So there's a whole bunch of ways I can answer that question, John. So what percentage should you ask? Well, you need to give me a lot more information for me to give you the accuracy. Is Client Unleashed for newbie with minimum skills? Yes. The answer to that question, Rod, is yes. But we just got to get super clear on what you want to offer. And there's a whole bunch of things you can offer. It's the first thing we go through. Rod, say yes. It is designed to help people who are in the early stages as well as people who are established. Question, do I charge for SaaS separate from the service package? If you're, okay, so this is a question for those people who know Go High Level as a software. So it's a white label CRM. You want to charge a setup fee and then you want to charge a management fee, right? So whatever the setup and integration is going to be. So in most cases, let's say, for example, if I was doing setup and integration for a company, for me, my minimum setup would be 10 grand, $10,000 to do a setup, right? Then that would start at 10 grand. Like we're doing integration at $100,000 at the moment. That's what we're charging for setup, 100 grand, right? So that's for a CRM. So Go High Level, I would say, if you're doing it at the cheap basic level, minimum 3 to 5, right? 10 would be favorable. And then you're going to charge a management fee. So your management fee will be whatever you want it to be, 1,000, 3,000, 5,000. What are you going to do for the management fee? What do you do for that? Are you monitoring? So for example, one of the people that I work with, Tracy, who's one of my champions, they charge $8 grand a month to manage Go High Level for their clients. So the setup fee is between about 15 grand would be the setup fee. And then they charge $8,000 a month to manage the CRM for their client. What managing means is monitoring, reporting, letting them know, because they're in the system, they're looking at the sales process and letting their people know that the client, what's going on with their clients. They're even helping them, making sure that they're managing the deal flow. But that's what they're getting $8,000 a month for, is helping them manage that process. So what's that? And the average client signs up 3-year contracts too. So what's that? That's 80, 160. That's nearly $300,000, $380,000, $390,000 over a 3-year period to manage Go High Level. That's what you can do with Go High Level. So when you're asking me this question, Rajesh, what do you want to sell it for? You tell me. I don't know who the client is. I don't know who the market is. I don't know what their client value is. I don't know what their sales process is. All of that's going to come into play to help me make a decision on what I would charge somebody. So what I would charge and what you would charge, 2 different things. So my recommendation is to understand, what the involvement is, and then work on the investment at that level, and then help the client understand that there's time, energy, expertise, and skill that goes into putting this together. Yeah. What I would highly recommend is don't listen to anybody in the Go High Level community. That's what I would recommend that you do. And the reason why is because they're all undercharging. They're all doing it cheap. They're all got this bullshit idea that they're looking at the SaaS subscription model, right? If I can get 100 clients to pay $200 a month, that's $20,000 a month. I'll be set for life, right? That's the dream, right? I call bullshit, right? I call bullshit. So I would listen to people who do Salesforce, Marketo, NetSuite, real integrators of real software companies that are established in the marketplace. That's not to say that Go High Level is not established. It's a great product. I love that product. It's great, right? Lots of features, lots of benefits. They're adding things all the time. It's the next ClickFunnels, right? If they get it right, yeah. But I believe you need to look at it from a professional business point of view. There's not a single CRM guy that I know that doesn't do anything for less than 10 grand just to do blueprint map out setup. That's Infusionsoft, or Keep, I should say, Ontraport, Salesforce, all those CRMs. I don't know anybody in the consulting market that does anything for less than setup, or doing the initial setup and mapping for less than 10 grand. Yeah. But for whatever reason, in Go High Level, you got people who do it for nothing, right? But that will change as that product matures. That will change as that product matures. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. Thanks, John. Appreciate you saying that. Appreciate you saying that. Thank you. Yeah. So any other questions? I'm happy to answer any questions. Randy, I got your email yesterday, but I haven't responded. I'll send you a video tomorrow. I'm going to take my New Year's Day off to enjoy my day here on the New Year's on that public holiday.
Can you hear me?
We'll get back. Yeah, I can hear you, Randy.
Oh, good. Well, Happy New Year to you. Thank you. My partner's got COVID, and I was talking to him because we have a scheduled time tomorrow, and I mentioned we're going to do this, and he said, "Who is it with?" And I told him your name, and he goes, "I know John." So do you know Bren?
Yes, I know Bren very well.
Well, he's my partner.
All right. Nice guy.
He said, "We're going to do this. Get me the details." So he wanted me to ask. He said, "Is the training live right now? I mean, if we did whatever we got to do,
you can get access straight away. There's all the stuff. There's all the resources, and everything's there to start. On Monday, the 4th of January, Monday, right? I believe it's at 1 p.m. PST. We do a call, then we do one on Thursday. So you got 2 calls a week where I go live to answer questions, fine tune, do the whole process.
Okay.
So you got that access, but you can start straight away. If you go to the unit section, once you do that, once you join, it'll direct you to the Facebook group. Once I let you in the Facebook group, the first units is where I would go. You can start straight away. There's nothing holding you back. You don't have to wait for me. There's a ton of stuff available to you. So yeah, you can get going. You can get the first few things done before Monday.
Okay.
But next week, close to the middle of the week, I'm going to be introducing the actual the lead system that I've been talking about, the software to generate the appointment opportunities. So yeah, so yes, I do know Bren. So yeah, nice to reconnect. He was on one of my webinars a little while ago, only about a month ago.
Couldn't believe I found you. He goes, how'd you find him? So the other thing was, if in the software, if you're picking a niche, can you change? Or are you stuck? Okay, so you can
work 3 niches at a time. You can work 20 niches at a time. You can work as many as you like.
Got it. Okay, so we're not stuck with the first one.
Yeah. What it will do is, because of the way that the system operates, and you'll see this system. John Purchase, if you just go to clientsunleashed.com, all the information is there to get started. It's all there. So thank you. I really look forward to working with you, buddy. But to answer your question, Randy, I mean, you can go to any niche you want, right? You can work with this process on any niche you want. The key here is it's part of that process in the software. It's based on keywords. So we just need to choose the identifier of the keywords in those markets. Yesterday, I think I mentioned when I was doing this training, I was testing the software in a market that I'm not in, right? I said, you know what, I'm just going to go and join a couple of plumber groups. So I joined a couple of plumber groups. Well, you know, if I was dealing with plumbers, I'm looking for people who have teams. So what would a plumber who owns a business call themselves, right? They might be the CEO, the managing director. So I did a few title shares. And it's really weird because I said this yesterday, I'm not in the plumbing market, but I know people who are that I work with very closely. And so I'm literally going to hand over. I've got, I checked yesterday, I've got 27 freaking leads. And I'm not targeting this audience, but I got 27 people that I need to introduce to somebody to help these people who are responding to the messaging that I put in through the process. So it really, you could pick pretty much any niche on the planet. Because we're part of that process, we are using Facebook as the access point, but the methodology and the strategy, Randy, is really easy. It's really simple. And it's almost like normally I have, like, we're in this holiday period and a lot of my team are on vacation, and I did this because I'm testing this and I've created a rod for my back because I don't have anybody to follow up, right? Or to engage the next steps. So I've been playing with it as if my team member would be playing with it, and it's been pretty intuitive and pretty easy. So it's pretty cool. Plus the stuff that I'm going to be adding to the capabilities of using this to get the best out of it, you'll certainly get a lot out of it. So yeah, so for those of you who are interested, just go to Clients Unleashed. I'll put the URL up on the screen there again on the chat. You can join that. Yeah, it's not a huge group. I'm just trying to get people focused on this fundamental thing of, you know, getting people to speak to who are interested in what you have to offer. And to be able to do that, you've got to have a really defined, clear offer with an outcome and a result that you're confident in, that you want to speak to. And then from there, you want to engage. And then part of that, if you use my sales process, then you're going to close deals. So this strategy really is about acquiring customers. It's not about like all the other stuff that I teach in my private coaching, which is more focused on the development of a real business where you're scaling. That's way different from what I do. In this process, in what I'm sharing, I'm only solely focused on the idea of consistently getting a message out there to an audience that is interested in engaging. So that's the key to this process. So it's something everybody, when I asked people, I asked a whole bunch of people before I did this, a few months ago, I asked a whole bunch of people, said, listen, if I was to do anything, the one thing, and everybody said, I want clients, I want clients, I want clients, I want clients. I say, great. All right, let's just do the thing that gets clients and nothing else, right? The delivery and all that sort of stuff, don't worry about that. You're going to figure that out along the way. But let's just, if I was going out to the market and I was looking for a way to make it soft and make it easy, well, what would I do? And what I've done is that is what I've created. I've created consulting with Clients Unleashed just for that purpose, right? Ultimately, I hope people who go through Clients Unleashed one day want me to help them build a larger business and give them access to what we do at Consulting Champions. Because what we're doing over there, our goal over there is to scale beyond 7 figures for people. So yeah. So happy to answer one more question. I've been here for 2.5 hours. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. But thank you all for being here. I will take another question. Cannot talk now. take later. Okay, Rajesh, thank you very much. Appreciate you saying. For those who are jumping in, thank you. I look forward to working with you over the coming months. Lots of stuff for you to go through, but I'm super excited about this process and this journey. So if you're looking for my support and help, so Jamil, okay, you've got a question above. Let me find that question, my friend. Okay, all right. Okay, your markets personal injury attorneys. You sell pre-qualified live transfer calls. Okay, so you're transferring calls. Having trouble getting in touch with attorneys to sell the calls. So I've been selling to marketing agencies with pre-existing relationships. I'd like to simplify my funding to. Mate, if you've got pre-qualified calls, I cannot see any attorney on the planet not saying yes to that offer. That's a freaking awesome offer. If you do a pre-qualified to run to opportunity, that's like gold, man. You should be freaking flat out. I wouldn't be going to agencies. I'd go direct. That's a phenomenal offer. My thing is how what the messaging is on that offer to the personal injury attorney. Because it's almost like saying to the personal injury attorney, listen, I can guarantee you a direct connection phone call to a qualified customer. This is not like any other lead generation that you'll experience. You're actually going to get to speak to somebody who is ready to go or is really interested in getting to know what it's going to take that are ready to go. Is that the type of call that you want, Mr. Personal Injury Lawyer? Mate, you've got the easiest pitch on the planet. That's a license to print money, dude. That is a license to print money. You're gonna. So I would go top 100. Go to the top 100 firms in the US, Jamil. Get a list. What you're looking for, the person you're looking for is you're looking for the managing partner of personal injury. Managing partner of personal injury is what you're looking for, or partner in directorship. So the person who's in charge at a director level of personal injury for the law firm. So who's the person who's the head? If you look at the top 100 law firms, they're the ones that have got $100,000 a month to spend on that type of phone inquiry, man. If you can deliver that outcome, you've got gold, Jamil. You've got absolute gold. So I would be connecting with the top 100 legal firms in every major Western country on the planet and offering that deal because they have got the capability. If you've got the capability to scale that, that's phenomenal. Yeah. So I don't know what size your team is, Jamil, to be able to handle a budget of 100K or what they're going to get out of 100K a month. Yeah, that's what I would do. But you've got a fantastic offer. I don't know why you're struggling to sell that. Because the messaging on that, you can craft a really compelling message around that offer. Thank you, John. Really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you throughout the new year. Rod, I'm away. Okay, John, I'm away. Awesome, Rod. Thank you. Appreciate that. Are you away on vacation? Yes. Yeah, Rod. My answer to your question is yes. Absolutely, you'll be able to. Any other questions? Does that help you, Jamil? I'm hoping that helped you, Jamil. Yeah, mate, you've got a great offer. You just got to get the messaging right on that offer. And I cannot believe that any law firm would say no to that type of direct engagement with a qualified prospective customer. All you need to do is put in front of them and say, hey, if there was a methodology to do this, we know this is the number one thing that most personal injury lawyers want. We've got a methodology that delivers that outcome directly. We're talking to personal injury lawyers who want our clients. Are you accepting personal injury cases that are qualified right now? Yes or no? There's your offer. Pretty simple. The issue is trust. Well, demonstrate it. That's easy. Show them the lawyers that are using your system right now and getting the result. That's the trust. Lawyers follow other lawyers. Man, the thing that I'd be doing is I'd be talking to influencers in the market and getting referrals. You don't need trust. You just need referrals. Because law firms, these guys all talk to each other. They'll refer. They know everybody, right? They know the guy. They got, think about all the people they went to college with that are working in other law firms in other cities and other states. The referral market in the law network is massive. I have a friend of mine who does SEO just for personal injury. They're doing about $8 million a year just doing SEO for personal injury. It's like a license to print money. Personal injury is massive, massive market. So yes, the trust part is, well, if you can deliver on your promise, there shouldn't be an issue of trust. You know, you can run a modest price test. That's another way to do it. Problem is that since I've been white labeling, I can't use, so you've been white labeling the service to, okay, well, you can set up another brand name for your company and go direct to the market. You don't need to white label it. Right? So, and where have you white labeled everywhere in the world? Have you white labeled all over America? Right? How many agencies are you working with, dude? You know, and are they giving you, you know, are they bringing you 10, 15 clients a month? If they're not, you should be doing it yourself. So just set up a whole new brand. Just set up another brand that delivers this to the market. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, all of a sudden what you can do, if you really build this, then eventually you can just drop the white label, go direct. So use the white label to fund and then build from there. That's another way to do it, Jamil. So yeah, you shouldn't have any problems, man. You've got, if you can do that delivery and you're doing that delivery right now, you've got a problem, a great problem that you solve for a lot of PIs, PI attorneys. You've got a great problem. Because they want them. They know that every case is on average, is worth between 6 and 12 grand. That's the average PI case, depending on what they're taking on. That's awesome, man. That's what you need to do. You need to scale. So thanks for asking the question, Jamil. I appreciate you being on this call. I know you've been on these calls. You know what, guys? I actually might show up tomorrow. So I've still got some from juice in the tank. I'm feeling pretty juiced. So I keep an eye out on the post in the Consulting Unleashed Facebook group. I will come in tomorrow live with some other tactical and strategic things. Those who are joining me in Clients Unleashed, I want to thank you for joining. Looking forward to having you on board. Looking forward to working with you. Super excited about that. Will the outreach software work for? Yes. Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Absolutely, Jamil. For that market, absolutely. Randy. Yes, I've done with, I've worked, not in this program, but I've worked with not-profits and I know what not-profits need. So yes, this software is more targeted. So it's not mass. You're not going to go to the mass market. So depending on when you're saying not-for-profit, Randy, it depends on what area you're talking about. You know, if you're talking about charities, you could use it for charities, but you'd have to be very strategic on how you used it. It's not a mass play. No, John, absolutely not. Nothing to do with that program. No, this is just what we're focusing on is go and get clients, right? I mean, there are elements of, there's some trainings and things like that. There's a sales process training that is from the Rocket program, which is a really good process, but everything else is pretty much new. Everything's new. And the trainings, the unit sections that I've put into the system in the Facebook group, they're all new trainings. I only did those, only shot those a couple of weeks ago. So they're really a worksheet, step-by-step process, structure, the whole thing. So it's very different, John, very different to Rocket. Yeah. So to answer your question, Randy, can you use it for charities? Yes, but you'd use it strategically. You'd have to think through the strategy, but yeah, you could do it. With that, I want to say thank you for being here. The recording is on the Facebook group. If you're in the Consulting Unleashed Facebook group, it'll be there. Yes, Rajesh, if you've got a question, ask me this question. I'll answer it before I go. Yep. Final, do you think mobile marketing and Go High Level management would be like putting your foot into two different boats? Yes. Yes. Do one or the other. Go with one core offer. If you're going to do Go High Level, it's going to be either lead management or you're going to do leads and management of leads. That's where Go High Level is super powerful. If you're going to do mobile apps, then do mobile apps. Do one or the other. Don't do both, right? Not at the same time, because there's too much to explain. There's too much to explain in the process. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you pick one or the other, man. There's so many people need mobile right now. So many people. Yes, there's already training in Clients Unleashed. There's already stuff ready to go. It's step by step ready to go. For those of you who ask questions about Clients Unleashed, it's ready to go. Like, you can start right now. There's stuff that if you follow the first 2 sections, that's going to get you prepped for the whole lead gen thing that I'm going to be launching next week, the automated software. So yeah, that's going to get you prepped. You'll get 700 opportunities for free. I've organized a free trial. So you can literally use the whole thing for free for 2 weeks. Yeah. It's cool. So in 2 weeks, I would imagine, I'm hoping you'll get about 150, between 100 and 150 connection opportunities, like people that you can communicate and engage with in the process. Thanks, John. Appreciate you jumping on. Look forward to seeing you there in the program. When you go through, you'll get access to the Facebook group. So thanks, John, for joining. Thanks, Randy. Thank you. The other John, we've got a few people here. Titus, thank you for joining. So yeah, I'll give you access to that. As soon as I hop over, I'll give you access to the materials. It will give you access straight to the, there's a portal that I'll give you access to as well, which will be cool. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Awesome. Welcome. Thank you. So I just want to say thank you for being here. I'm going to hop on. I am going to do another session tomorrow, same time, same bat channel. Going to talk about a couple of other things to take into consideration, especially when you're penetrating into markets and niches. I'll talk about that tomorrow. That always seems to be something that people really want to get into. I'll also talk, I'll kind of talk a little bit about the whole sales process thing from a psychology point of view of eliminating those objections. So I'll be hopping on tomorrow to share that with you. So with that, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me on New Year's Eve. I wish you all the very best for 2021. I believe that 2021 is going to be an awesome year. I know 2020 has been an incredibly challenging one for so many people. And at the same time, I've seen so many people do very well in this current year. But I know 2021 to 2023 is going to be huge for us here who have our skills. The markets are ready, they're buying, they are looking, they need your expertise, knowledge, and understanding. So with that, I want to thank you for hanging out with me over this series. I am going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to be jumping on, answering questions, but I just really appreciate the fact that you've given me this time on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, wherever you are. But I wish you, your family, the best. Please stay safe. Please be healthy. Please connect with those people to make sure that that you are engaging and talking to people out there. Look, like I said, my goal here is to try and help as many people do very well in the coming years in this space, because I know that there is a ton of opportunities. So with that, I want to thank you so much. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. Thanks, John. Appreciate it, mate. I'll make sure you get into the Facebook group, and we'll get you into the portal as well. So, and there's an email there that'll explain everything when you join. So thank you. With that, have an awesome new year. And for those of you, I'm letting you know that next year is looking good. So the future is looking bright. And for those who are starting your first down the new year, welcome. And again, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with me. For those who are on the Facebook group, and the YouTube channel, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. Let's get some stuff done. Take care, everybody.